Chapter 2719. Wang Ningxue had always been cold and arrogant. On the surface, she was polite to everyone. But that was just the demeanor that disciples of noble families develop from a young age. Deep down, she was still very cold. Not everyone would open their hearts and make friends with them. She looked down on Lu Li from the bottom of her heart as well. It was not that Lu Li was the only one, but because of her high status and the fact that there were so many young men around her, average men could not catch her eye. Even when Lu Li made it to the semi-finals like a dark horse, she didn't pay much attention to him. From the fact that they discussed in the semi-finals, she could tell that she didn't care what Lu Li thought. The first time Lu Li was recognized by her was in the semi-finals. When they were about to lose, Lu Li defeated Guan Qianxiu and turned the tables. He had helped her advance, which was a great help. Naturally, she would remember Lu Li. Lu Li's performance in the finals won her recognition as well. But that was it. Now, things were different. Lu Li had been taken in as a protege by Emperor Rui. That meant he was her junior brother, her biological junior brother. He was different from the other disciples of the Celestial Emperor's sect. They shared the same master, and they would live together for many years. How could they be the same? Also, Guan Qianxiu was eliminated and Lu Li advanced. The competition was not over yet. Wang Ningxue didn't know what exactly happened, but she was sure that Lu Li and Guan Qianxiu had a conflict. She didn't like Guan Qianxiu. She was happy that Lu Li could advance. She came over as soon as Lu Li woke up. She wanted to ask what had happened. Women love gossip. Guan Qianxiu was eliminated and Ruan Shiji and the others were grounded. The emperors wouldn't tell others about this. Therefore, the only way was to ask Lu Li. Lu Li didn't hide anything. He told her what happened. He didn't go into details about the battle. His divine chains of order wouldn't murmur to anyone. He gave an understatement. He said that Guan Qianxiu and the other three came to him, and he injured Guan Qianxiu. When Ruan Shiji was about to attack him again, Emperor Rui showed up, saved Lu Li, and brought him here. That's strange. After Wang Ningxue heard this, she murmured, "Logically speaking, Master doesn't have a right to let you advance, much less directly eliminate Guan Qianxiu. That should be the result of all the judges' approval." Although Guan Qianxiu and Ruan Shiji's actions weren't right, some of the judges are definitely on good terms with the Guan clan. 4 of them were directly eliminated while you advanced. This is a bit strange. It must be because of the god's sequence chains. Lu Li speculated to himself that it must be because of the divine chains of order that Lu Li could advance directly and was accepted as a legacy disciple by Emperor Rui. Those emperors recognized the divine sequence chains, but they didn't have the intention to snatch it. They only absorbed him into the Celestial Emperor's sect and made the Rui Emperor accept him as a personal disciple. In other words, the group of judges probably accepted him into the Celestial Emperor's sect because of the divine sequence chains. Senior sister, what kind of person is our master? Do you understand? Lu Li said all of a sudden. He wanted to know Emperor Rui's character, which would make it easier for him to contact him in the future. Lu Li could also tell if Emperor Rui would rob him of his chains of order. Those were treasures of heaven and earth. What if Emperor Rui harbored evil intentions and found a chance to kill Lu Li and take the chains off him? Our master? How should I put it? Well, he is one of the miracles in the endless ruins of gods. Wang Ningxue exclaimed with admiration. 10,000 years ago, our master was an influential figure in the endless ruins of gods. Over the past 10,000 years, our master rarely went out and deliberately kept a low profile. That is why he is not as famous, and people don't pay so much attention to him. But when he goes out, mentioning the name of Emperor Rui will make the older generation sigh with emotion. Wang Ningxue was born in the Wang family. She had a complete collection of stories about Emperor Rui. Lu Li was Emperor Rui's protege. He must know something about Emperor Rui. Therefore, she told him in detail without hesitation. It took Wang Ningxue an hour to finish her story. Lu Li was relieved after he heard it. He exclaimed that Emperor Rui was an extraordinary man. Emperor Rui rose to prominence in a small dynasty in the south. He was a disciple of a branch of small family. His aptitude was poor since he was young. His family believed that he could not be trained. Emperor Rui was an orphan. His parents died in battle when he was young. He grew up with a bedridden grandfather who was injured in his early years. His aptitude was poor. He only became a second tribulation warrior at the age of 300. Naturally, he was treated coldly in the family. But Emperor Rui did not give up. He cultivated in silence. 600 years later, he suddenly rose. He went through 3 tribulations in a row and became a 5th tribulation warrior, shocking his small dynasty. After he became famous, his family's attitude toward him changed. The family patriarch even appointed him as the young family patriarch. But Emperor Rui left his family alone. He even announced that he was leaving the family. He began to travel around. He changed his name to Rui Jian. This name became the representative of the god of slaughter. Emperor Rui would often rob the bandit legions alone. Because he had no background and resources, he could only rely on the treasures and materials he obtained from robbing the bandit legions to trade for what he needed. In 1,000 years, Emperor Rui robbed all the bandit legions of the 8 dynasties nearby. His combat strength broke through from the 5th tribulation to the 6th tribulation. However, he could no longer stay in those 8 dynasties. Some bandit legions were related to the great clans of those dynasties. Some legions were even the hidden forces of those great clans. Emperor Rui was hunted down many times and narrowly escaped death many times. Finally, he successfully escaped and went far away, disappearing without a trace. He left for 4,000 years. When he came back, he was already a quasi-thearch. Furthermore, he had a powerful killer move that could fight against ordinary great thearchs. He eliminated all his enemies but offended a great clan because of this. That clan sent over a dozen quasi-thearchs to hunt him down. This great clan was a top-notch force that was second only to the 18 sections. Emperor Rui used all kinds of schemes and tactics to kill all the quasi-thearchs. This time, he poked a hornet's nest. 3 great thearchs of this clan couldn't sit still anymore. They personally chased after Emperor Rui. Emperor Rui continued to flee. After injuring one great thearch, he was severely injured by another great thearch. Just as he was about to be killed, Celestial Thearch Sect's patriarch happened to pass by. He cherished talent and came out to protect Emperor Rui, bringing him back to Celestial Thearch Sect. Emperor Rui didn't disappoint Celestial Thearch Sect's patriarch. After 18 years in Celestial Thearch Sect, he broke through to the Thearch rank and became one of the top figures in the endless divine ruins. He was a late bloomer and that didn't have any background. He relied on his own strength to rob all the bandit legions of the 8 dynasties. Later on, he used his quasi-thearch combat strength to fight against 13 great clans and annihilate them. Finally, he offended a great clan. That great clan sent 3 thearchs and even allowed Emperor Rui to kill one of them. 10,000 years ago, Emperor Rui was very famous in the endless divine ruins. However, after he came to Celestial Thearch Sect, he kept a low profile. For the past 10,000 years, he almost didn't go out and cultivated in Celestial Thearch Sect. Therefore, many people had forgotten about his illustrious reputation back then. Emperor Rui's experience is very similar to mine. Chapter 2720. Lu Li's wounds were almost healed after 3 days of rest. Following Wang Ningxue's arrangement, he changed into clean clothes and went to a hall for the ceremony. Usually, the ceremony of apprenticeship in the Celestial Emperor's sect was grand. But Emperor Rui did not like it. Maybe he did not get along well with the other great emperors of the Celestial Emperor's sect. Wang Ningxue said that Emperor Rui told her that a simple ceremony was enough. That was what Wang Ningxue did before. She only invited a few people to be witnesses. Emperor Rui rose from a poor family. The other great emperors were from major families. The Celestial Emperor's sect was formed by some major families. After Emperor Rui joined the Celestial Emperor's sect, many families tried to rope him in, but he did not like to form cliques. Therefore, he turned down all the offers. This offended many people. Emperor Hung was the only friend of Emperor Rui in the Celestial Emperor sect. That being said, Emperor Hung was not the only one present for today's ceremony. There was also an old man in a black robe. Wang Ningxue came with Lu Li. She was surprised to see the old man in a black robe. She was born in the Wang family. Naturally, she knew everything about the Celestial Emperor sect. She knew this old man in a black robe very well. His name was Liang. He was the supervisor of the Celestial Emperor sect. He was not supervising disciples, but the entire Celestial Emperor sect, including the patriarchs. He was one of the top 10 most important figures in the Celestial Emperor sect. He never recognized anyone and only answered to the master. His nickname was Helly. If a patriarch made a mistake, he had the right to punish them directly. Why did he come to such a small ceremony? Was it coincidence? Lu Li did not know this man. He followed Wang Ningxue in and bowed to the three with her. Emperor Rui said with a smile, "Ningxue, Lu Li, let me introduce you. This is Supervisor Li, and this is Emperor Hung. Come and greet them." "Greetings, Supervisor Li, Emperor Hung." Lu Li and Wang Ningxue greeted at once. Supervisor Li nodded and said, "It's okay. I am here to witness the ceremony. Don't mind me." Emperor Hung looked at Lu Li with a smile and said, "Lu Li, Lord Li has never attended a ceremony. You're the first. This is your honor. After taking the Rui Emperor as your master, I hope that you will cultivate hard and not lose face for your master. I will remember Emperor Heng's words, and I will not disgrace you." Lu Li answered. Wang Ningxue walked over and stood beside the Rui Emperor. There was a maid serving tea at the side. Wang Ningxue said, "Junior Marshal Brother Lu, kowtow to master." Lu Li kowtowed 3 times with respect. Wang Ningxue handed a cup of tea to Lu Li in person. Lu Li served him tea. Emperor Rui took it over and took a sip. He nodded and said, "Lu Li, from today on, you are my apprentice. I don't have many rules, just 2. Firstly, they were not allowed to bully the weak and slaughter civilians. Secondly, they were not allowed to lose their humanity and commit crimes. If you break any of them, don't blame me for being merciless." Lu Li bowed with respect and said, "Master, don't worry. I will follow your instructions." "You have a sovereign weapon." The Rui Emperor thought about it and said, "Your corporeal body is also strong. You will also have to continue cultivating your corporeal body in the future, so I won't give you the battle armor. You're good at soul attack, so I don't know what to give you as a gift." Lu Li waved his hand and said, "There is no need. Master, you have already thought highly of me by accepting me as your apprentice. How can I accept a gift from you? As for a gift, it should be a gift from me to show my respect to you." "Ha ha ha." Emperor Hung laughed and said, "Lu Li, you have underestimated your master. He is a warrior of the great Emperor realm. How many roving bandits did he defeat? He went to many places of treasures. The number of treasures he has is astonishing. It is only right that a master should give his apprentice a gift." Emperor Rui thought for a while. A green bead appeared in his hand. Handing it to Lu Li, he said, "This is something I got from the Land of Silence. I don't need it anymore, so I will give it to you as a gift." "Thank you, master." Lu Li took it over. He took a look, but didn't pay much attention to it. He put away. Emperor Hung forced a smile and said, "Lu Li, do you think this bead is a piece of cabbage? This is Holy Soul bead, a piece of treasure for the soul. After you consume it, it will be placed in your soul. It can strengthen your soul automatically, and the speed of improvement can be compared to when you consume top-level elixirs continuously. This bead is not a sovereign weapon, but it is much more valuable." "What?" Lu Li just took it over and didn't take a close look. He didn't know that the Holy Soul bead was so powerful. He needed it badly because his soul was not strong. Also, his soul attacks were good. When his soul was strong, his soul attacks would be more effective. For him, this bead was the best treasure. "Master, you are biased." Wang Ningxue pouted and said in a half-joking manner, "This bead is more valuable than the one you gave me." "Ha ha." Emperor Rui said with a smile, "You have a 9th rank enchanted soul in your soul. This bead is of little use to you. Besides, your soul is strong." Luli needs it more than you do. Lord Li stood up and said, "Okay, the ceremony is over. I will leave now. Luli, work hard. Don't waste our efforts." Luli said yes. Emperor Hung left with Lord Li. Emperor Rui waved his hand, and Wang Ningxue left as well. Only Lu Li and Emperor Rui were left in the main hall. Emperor Rui took a sip of tea and said, "It is Lord Li who decided your advancement. He said in person that you can advance directly. Lord Li values you, Lu Li." Lu Li didn't know about Lord Li's status in the Celestial Emperor sect. But judging from how people treated him with respect, Lu Li knew that Lord Li was an important figure in the Celestial Emperor sect. Lu Li felt flattered. "But don't be complacent," the Rui Emperor said. "Lord Li values you so much because you have the God Order chains. If these God Order chains hadn't fused with you, I reckon that Lord Li would have forcefully stripped them off and bestowed them to the emperors in the sect. Therefore, Lord Li does not value your talent, but the divine chains of order." Lu Li was surprised. Then he put his mind at ease. The divine chains of order were integrated with him and could not be taken off. In the future, the powerful warriors of the Celestial Emperor sect would not have any ill intentions towards him. He didn't have to worry about being assassinated. "The divine chains of order are good stuff," Emperor Rui continued, "but your own abilities are the key. Your realm is low and you have learned many things. Didn't any emperor-level powerhouses teach you before? Did they ever give you any systematic advice?" Lu Li shook his head. He only met an unnamed demon emperor, but they parted in a hurry. Lu Li didn't give Emperor Rui many pointers. Emperor Rui thought about it and said after a moment, "I have observed your fights, and I know you well in all aspects. I will give you two pieces of advice. One is to continue to cultivate your body to the extreme. The other is to cultivate your soul. Focus on your body and soul. The other way is to cultivate fundamental principle. I can take you to a secret realm where there are some super marks of fundamental principle. If you can comprehend it, your true meaning will immediately improve. Well, if you want to cultivate your body, I can take you to a place with treasures. As long as you can stay there for 10 years, I can promise you that when you come out, not even the average emperors can kill you." 10 years. Chapter 27-21. In the past, many people told Lu Li not to cultivate the supreme immortal body because there were too few people in history who succeeded in cultivating the supreme immortal body. The main reason was that at the later stage of the supreme body, it was too difficult to make progress. Consuming regular elixirs would have no effect. That required the most top-grade divine medicine, as well as finding all sorts of strange places or rare divine items of the world to allow the fleshly body to continue growing rapidly. The third heaven had many such strange places and many treasures. That being said, those places were scattered all over the place and were far away from each other. Many places were dangerous as well. When the treasures appeared, they would usually be divided up by nearby forces. Lu Li couldn't even buy them if he wanted to, let alone fight for them. Lu Li had been cultivating his body and soul. He had made some achievements in these two aspects. If he had the chance, he would want to continue to develop them. If he were to cultivate fundamental meanings, even if he were to learn some powerful ones, he would only be able to fight against the fifth tribulation, which was nothing compared to physical and soul attacks. More importantly, the Rui Emperor said that 10 years of cultivation could make him unkillable for average quasi-emperors. Then his body must be at least 100 times stronger. With a bit more progress, he could be comparable to an Emperor Realm warrior. He might even be able to reach the Emperor Realm with his body. 10 years was a short time for Lu Li. If his body could be comparable to a quasi-emperor's, then he would be famous in the endless ruins of divinity. At least, he would be a Black Badge disciple. By then, he could go to the Holy Maiden sect to ask for Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong's hand. Therefore, Lu Li chose the first option without any hesitation. He was determined. The Rui Emperor looked at him and sighed. There is a pond of ancestral dragon blood in that treasured land. It is the blood of the ancestors of the dragons in the endless ruins of divinity. The blood of ancestral dragon is very strong. I couldn't even survive 3 years in there. Even so, my body has been improved. Are you sure you want to go? That kind of pain can drive people crazy. Yes. Luli did not hesitate. To cultivate the body was to endure endless torment and pain. He had been through it so many times that he was used to it. Okay then. The Rue Emperor nodded. I'll bring you there half a year later. That place is quite a distance away from the sect, and I still have some matters to attend to. In terms of the soul, I've given you the sacred soul pearl, and the sect will also give you some soul-nourishing pills. I'll also teach you a secret technique to cultivate the soul. As for the rest, I'm not proficient in the soul, so I can't help you much. Thank you, Master. Luli thanked Emperor Rue again. Emperor Rue had done so much for him, which was a great favor. Yet, Emperor Rue said that he could not help much. Luli was grateful. You shouldn't be able to completely control those gods' sequence chains, right? The Rue Emperor thought of something else and said, I don't know much about this thing, but I've looked through some ancient records. This divine object of heaven and earth is very domineering, so you have to hurry and refine it. After completely refining and mastering it, it will increase your battle prowess by a lot. This divine item's attack power is much more tyrannical than sovereign weapons. There are also some strange functions. You'll have to figure it out yourself. I understand, Master. Luli nodded. Since he had released the divine chains of order once, he could find a way to do it again. Then, he could take control of them slowly. Okay, off you go. The Rue Emperor waved his hand and said, Later, ask your sister to introduce you to the disciples of the sect. You can go to the Celestial Emperor's city as well. This is a formal introduction. As a new disciple, you have to make public appearances, but these social activities are not very meaningful. Don't take part in too many. Also, if some families want to rope you in, don't say yes, at least for now. If you want to join some families, you have to wait until you're stronger. How could Luli join a family? He had made up his mind to find a way back to the third heaven as soon as he rescued Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. Without any hesitation, Luli said, Master, I will not join any family. I don't like these social activities. Don't worry. Okay. The Rue Emperor waved his hand with satisfaction. Luli left. Wang Ningxue was waiting outside the door. She waved her hand when Luli came out and said, Let's go, brother. I will show you to the Hall of Patriarchs to go through the formalities. Official disciples must go and report. Thank you, sister. Luli knew nothing about these things. He followed Wang Ningxue to the Hall of Patriarchs. They met some disciples on the way, and Wang Ningxue bowed to them with respect. She told Luli that if he met a disciple of the White Badge, he only needed to bow to them. If he met a disciple of the Golden Badge or a Black Badge, he must bow to them with respect. If he met a patriarch or a warrior of the Emperor realm, he must bow to them as a disciple. All the disciples they met along the way were disciples of the White Badge. They would bow back as well. But the way they looked at Luli was a bit complicated. There was envy, jealousy, and some hidden disdain. They arrived at the Hall of Patriarchs and entered a castle. There was a patriarch here. Seeing Wang Ningxue, he said with a smile, Xue, how come you have time to visit me today? This patriarch clearly had some connection with the Wang family. He was polite to Wang Ningxue. Wang Ningxue pointed to Luli and said, Patriarch Song, this is Luli. He is my master's new disciple and an official disciple. I brought him here to go through the formalities. So you are Luli. The smile on Patriarch Song's face was still there. He asked Luli to sit down. Patriarch Song called over a man and said something. Soon, the man came back with an interspatial ring. Patriarch Song said, Luli, congratulations on becoming an official disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect. There's your ID badge and the pellets and relics the sect has given you. Also, there's a booklet. Every year, you can go to some treasured lands to cultivate. It is written clearly in the booklet. Luli took it over and thanked Patriarch Song. Patriarch Song said, Luli, Lordly picked you to join the Celestial Emperor's sect in person. Also, you are a protege of Emperor Ray. I hope you will work hard and don't embarrass them. Wang Ningxue left with Lu Li after being told what to do. Then, she showed him around the sect and told him about some special places in the sect. For example, where was the drill ground? Where was the cultivation pond? Where was the sutra library? The chamber of elixirs, and some basic knowledge of the rules of the sect. No wonder the Celestial Emperor sect was the most powerful sect in the world. It was so spacious that Lu Li felt dizzy. According to Wang Ningxue, there were several treasured lands where the disciples could cultivate divine energy tens of thousands of times faster than outside. But disciples of the White Badge could only go there for 1 month a year. In some lands, there were steals and marks left by powerful warriors. In some lands, there were ponds of divine liquid where one could soak in the ponds to improve one's physical strength. The Celestial Emperor sect had existed for millions of years. Thanks to the efforts of generations of powerful warriors, there were more than 10,000 lands of treasured lands in the Celestial Emperor universe. Those lands could benefit generations of disciples of the Celestial Emperor sect. That was why the Celestial Emperor sect could prosper. Brother. Chapter 27-22. Lu Li was not interested in the Celestial Emperor sect because he didn't want to stay here any longer. He had no sense of belonging in the endless ruins. Of all the valuable places in the Celestial Emperor sect, the one he was most interested in was the Library of Texts because there might be information about the third heaven. Of course, he had just become a disciple of the sect, so he could not go to the Library of Texts right away. When he returned to the Rue fort, Wang Ningxue had told him that there would be a banquet organized by her to celebrate Lu Li becoming a disciple of the sect. Hu Simeng and the others would be there. Lu Li agreed readily. Wang Ningxue had prepared a banquet especially for him. He didn't like this kind of thing, but he would not embarrass Wang Ningxue. Back in his room, Lu Li didn't cultivate. Instead, he began to observe the divine chains of order. He used the divine chains by chance. He was still confused and didn't know how he could control them back then. He recalled that he was badly injured and his life force was consumed. The divine chains of order automatically protected him and helped him recover his life force and wounds. He felt there was some simple spiritual connection with the divine chains of order. Out of instinct, he controlled the divine chains of order to attack. As it turned out, the divine chains of order really did it. He wanted to mobilize the divine chains of order, but he couldn't. He stayed in his room for a couple of hours and tried many ways, but the divine chains of order didn't do anything. Do I have to blow myself up before I can mobilize the divine chains of order? Lu Li frowned. He was troubled. While he was wondering what to do, the blood evil sovereign said, "Don't waste your time. You're too weak. The divine chains of order will not work for you. This divine chain of order is intelligent and it will protect its master. But it doesn't mean that it will listen to your orders now." Lu Li touched his nose, feeling embarrassed. He asked, "Then, Lord Evil Sovereign, how powerful do I have to be for it to work for me?" "Emperor Realm." The blood evil sovereign said, "At least Emperor Realm. This divine chain of order does not have intelligence, but it is intelligent. You can only control it when you reach a certain level." "I see." Lu Li nodded. He thought about it and asked, "Lord Evil Sovereign, Emperor Rue gave me 2 choices. I chose to cultivate my soul and body. Is this the right way? I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong." The blood evil emperor said, "The 3,000 great ways can all lead to the highest level. No one can guarantee which path is correct. Since you like to walk this path, then walk it. If you follow the Rue Emperor, you'll have a lot of resources. You'll be able to go further than if you stayed at the third heaven. Actually, I personally suggest that you cultivate here for tens of thousands of years. Don't bother about the third layer of heaven. With your meager strength, you won't be able to do much even if you go back. If you can break through to the Emperor Realm here, or even Saint Emperor, then you'll be of great use when you return." Tens of thousands of years. Lu Li touched his nose, shook his head, and said, "My heart of Taoism is not stable, not to mention Saint Emperor. Moreover, how is it possible to break through to Saint Emperor in tens of thousands of years? Although my strength is very weak, if I can return to the third heavenly layer, every bit of strength is a bit of strength. Even if I die, I will die with my clansmen. Tens of thousands of years. When I return, I'm afraid that the third heaven will become the second devil abyss, right? Once the demon lord of the devil abyss descends, who can stop him? Actually, the blood evil emperor thought for a while and said, "You don't have to worry too much. It's not impossible for a saint emperor to exist in the third heaven." What? Lu Li's eyes were wide open. He thought he had heard it wrong. He asked, "Lord Evil Emperor, are you sure? There are saint emperors in the third heaven? I have never heard of such a thing. If there are saint emperors, how come they don't come out to take charge?" "I don't know the details," the blood evil emperor explained, "but I know that some saint emperors have a kind of skill. Before they die, they can seal themselves into a deep sleep, which is to pretend to be dead. Of course, such saint emperors can only launch 1 or 2 attacks at most. I think there are many of them, at least more than a dozen. Therefore, even if 1 or 2 demon lords come from the devil abyss, the third heaven can still deal with them. As a matter of fact, I also suspect that there are living saint emperors in the third heaven. It's just that they have been hiding and are not known to the world." Pretend to be dead? This was the first time Lu Li had heard of this. Those saint emperors had existed for millions of years. How could someone seal himself for millions of years? What kind of shocking divine ability was this? "Don't worry too much." The blood evil emperor comforted him. When the fourth heaven and above collapsed, many powerful warriors swarmed into the third heaven. The third heaven has a strong foundation. It is not as weak as you think. Don't worry. When the real crisis breaks out, those hidden powerful warriors will come out. I can guarantee that there are at least dozens of reclusive demons at the third heaven. They are as powerful as the reincarnation emperor. Dozens? Lu Li was surprised again, but he was relieved. A warrior like the blood evil emperor would not stoop to lying. Now that he had said so, the third heaven should be able to hold on for some time. At least, they wouldn't be defeated so quickly. Focus on cultivation and try to grow. The blood evil emperor said one last thing. If you are not powerful enough, you will only be cannon fodder when you go back now. You will be of no use. If you want to go back, you must be as powerful as a quasi-emperor. If you don't, you will not be able to go back, even if you can find the way. The turbulence in space is horrifying. Lu Li nodded. He was much more relieved now. It was dark outside. After a while, Wang Ningxue walked over. Lu Li followed her out of the Rue fortress. "What?" Seeing Wang Ningxue walking toward the teleportation formation, Lu Li asked with curiosity, "We are leaving the Celestial Emperor realm." "Of course." Wang Ningxue nodded and said, "I don't have the guts to hold a banquet in the Celestial Emperor realm. Let's go to the Celestial City. We are official disciples, and we can go in and out of the Celestial Emperor realm at will. There are many disciples in the Celestial City. Many don't like the atmosphere in the Celestial Emperor realm. They prefer to cultivate in the Celestial City. Right? You have a small manor in the Celestial City. Master has something to deal with. Let's cultivate on our own. If you want to stay in the Celestial City, it's okay. Master will send someone to call you back if something happens. Of course, we cannot leave the Celestial City. We must report to the sect if we want to leave." Lu Li understood. The Celestial Emperor realm was coming out of the secular world. The Celestial City was entering the secular world. Many disciples had a heavy heart. They couldn't stand the suffocating atmosphere in the Celestial Emperor realm. The Celestial City was a colorful world. Young people liked lively scenes and were not steady enough. If they were forced to live an ascetic life in the Celestial Emperor realm, many of them would ruin things. Leaving the secular world was also a kind of cultivation. After experiencing the prosperity of the world, people's mentality might change. Sometimes cultivation could advance by leaps and bounds. Blindly cultivating in closed-door cultivation could easily lead to chi deviation. Of course, if they were to be greedy for the secular world and not make any progress, the sect would not tolerate it. Lu Li believed that there must be secret supervising messengers in the Celestial City. All the disciples' performance would be monitored. Chapter 27-23. The Celestial City was the largest city in the Endless Ruins. Many industries here were controlled by the major families of the celestial sect. Many affiliated families had properties here as well. In short, everything in the celestial city had something to do with the celestial sect. Otherwise, it would have been taken over. Wang Ningxue's family was not one of the major families in the celestial sect, but one of its affiliated families. She was one of the most promising to become a core family of the celestial sect. Wang Ningxue held a banquet for Lu Li. She didn't even have to do anything herself. She just needed to send a message. By the time Wang Ningxue and Lu Li came out, the biggest tavern in the city had been set up in a hall. Wang Ningxue had invited some people, and many others came uninvited. Lu Li's story had been spread out. Normally, nobody would pay attention to a registered disciple becoming a formal disciple. But Lu Li was different. He had become Emperor Rui's private student. The most important thing was that Lu Li was selected by Lord Li himself. When Lu Li became Master Li's disciple, Lord Li even attended the ceremony in person. Lord Li's status in the celestial sect was so high that he could monitor the entire celestial sect. He could control the life and death of many people and families. Lu Li had Emperor Rui as his master. If Lord Li had been Lu Li's disciple, there would have been many quasi-emperors present to present gifts to Lu Li. Even so, many people came tonight, and many came with gifts. The celestial sect had hundreds of affiliated families. Almost all of them gave gifts. Although they were not too expensive gifts, if you gave them to them, they might not be grateful. If you didn't give them, they might miss them. The gifts were not for Lu Li. They were purely for the sake of Emperor Rui and Lord Li. At first, Lu Li accepted gifts. Later on, there were so many that he asked Wang Ningxue to accept some. He was now at the banquet, introduced to many young masters and young ladies by Wang Ningxue. Wang Ningxue had only invited dozens of people, but over 100 came. The entire hall was full. Those who came were guests, and Lu Li could not ask them to leave. He followed Wang Ningxue and greeted them one by one as if it was a wedding. After being busy for half the night, many of the guests left on their own accord. Lu Li was relieved. Brother Lu, Hu Shimeng came over with 2 jars of wine. How is it? How does it feel to be the center of attention? Lu Li smiled bitterly. It wasn't like he hadn't become famous before. Although he didn't like these banquets, he had experienced them many times before. It was just that the person who came this time was much stronger and had a much higher status, so he didn't feel anything. Brother Hu. Lu Li shook his head and said, "Don't make fun of me. I'm getting dizzy. You'll get used to it." Hu Shimeng handed a jug of wine to Lu Li, clinked it, took a sip, and said, "This is the reality. Even though you don't want to, sometimes you cannot avoid the ways of the world. Unless you really cut off all ties with the mortal world and focus on the Tao, you can ignore everyone. If humans still have 7 emotions and 6 desires, then you have to deal with the matters of the mortal world." "Yeah." Lu Li took a sip. Hu Shimeng threw him a ring and said, "I don't have much to give you. Here are some elixirs of the soul. Congratulations on becoming Emperor Rui's private student." "Don't." Lu Li hurriedly waved his hand and said, "You have become an official disciple, and I have not given you anything. How can I accept this? You're looking down on me, aren't you?" Hu Shimeng glared at Lu Li and said, "Hu family is not one of the top families, but we do have some elixirs. When you are stronger, you can help me when I need it. That will be a great deal for us. This is not a gift. This is an investment. Do you understand?" Ha ha ha. Hu Shimeng was straightforward, and Lu Li liked him. Lu Li didn't want to be pretentious. He didn't need elixirs of the soul. Now that he had decided to cultivate his body and soul, the more powerful his soul was, the more powerful his attacks would be. Wang Ningxue took out a ring with a smile and said, "Brother, I want to show my appreciation as well. I have some elixirs as well. They will help you with your cultivation." "Thank you, sister." Lu Li didn't want to be pretentious. After all, they were the closest of kin. The Wang family was a prosperous family. Some elixirs were nothing. Wang Ningxue was nice to him. If he could, he would help the Wang family in the future. The banquet ended in the middle of the night. Wang Ningxue had someone send Lu Li back to his yard in the celestial city. There were 2 maids there. Wang Ningxue sent someone to deliver the gifts Lu Li had received. Lu Li sorted it out and realized that the gifts were worth at least 1 trillion divine stones. The celestial sect and the other families are so rich. Lu Li exclaimed. Most of the gifts were targeted. They were elixirs that could help with the cultivation of the body or soul. Clearly, his information had been exposed, and all the families had investigated him. When Lu Li looked at the list of gifts, he saw some from the relevant families. There was a note saying that the family apologized to Lu Li on behalf of Guan Qinxiu. The gifts were expensive. These big families are really flexible. Lu Li exclaimed. He had learned about Guan Qinxiu's situation. After he was eliminated, Guan Qinxiu stayed in the Celestial City for several days. When he recovered, he was sent back to his family. According to Wang Ningxue's speculation, Guan Qinxiu was going to suffer a setback this time. His status in the family would plummet. If he could not pull himself together, he would never achieve anything great in his lifetime. It was understandable that the Guan family would give him gifts. Guan Qinxiu was taken in as a protege of Emperor Rui and was valued by Lord Li. He might not be a threat to the Guan family now, but what about in thousands or tens of thousands of years? What if Lu Li could rise up and reach the Emperor realm? Step by step, he could become one of the most powerful warriors in the Celestial Sect. By then, Lu Li would remember what happened to Guan Qinxiu, which could be a devastating blow to the Guan family. Therefore, by giving him some gifts and expressing his apology, he could at least ease their relationship. Lu Li closed his door and refused to receive guests. He lived in the Lu mansion that he named himself. He began to consume the Holy Soul bead. After refining this bead, it would be able to continuously assist in the growth of the soul. In addition, the Rui Emperor had also given him a secret manual, which was a secret art for cultivating the soul. Later on, many people sent invitations to invite him to dinner. However, Lu Li told the servants to reply that he was in closed-door cultivation and would not attend any banquets. Half a month later, the Holy Soul bead was finally consumed. The bead entered his soul directly, emitting a faint green glow that helped his soul grow automatically. This is a piece of treasure. Lu Li sensed that the growth of his soul was faster than consuming regular elixirs. The bead was running all the time. His soul was growing every second. Over a long period of time, the growth of his soul would be considerable. 10 years. Lu Li's eyes glowed. Emperor Rui would take him to the blood pond of ancestor dragons soon. He would cultivate there for 10 years. He believed that after 10 years, his abilities would soar again. By then, he could find a chance to go to the Holy Lady sect to propose marriage and bring back Lu Ling and Xiang Linglong. P.S. New work by Flying Fish, Legend of Celestial Emperor. The main character, Lin Ke, was one of the top 10 powerful warriors of the Xian Realm sect. He was one step away from becoming a perfected being and gaining immortality. However, his master, perfected being EE, branded him with the number 9 on his face and demoted him to the lowest rank. Chapter 27-24. In the days that followed, Lu Li went to the Celestial Emperor universe and returned to the Rui Castle to cultivate since there were too many invitations in the Celestial Emperor city. Emperor Rui gave him a book on soul cultivation. The earlier he learned it, the earlier he could cultivate his soul. Lu Li knew a secret skill on soul cultivation, but it was not as good as what Emperor Rui gave him. Emperor Rui had to leave the Celestial Emperor universe for half a year. Wang Ningxue lived in the Celestial Emperor city. Lu Li had a comfortable life in the Rui Castle. 2 months later, Wang Ningxue came back. The sect assessment was over. She brought with her the list of qualified disciples. He was the only one who made it. The others were all eliminated. Being eliminated meant that they had no chance with the Celestial Emperor sect. They would have to go back to the recruitment ceremony and fight again. 3 of the white badge disciples made it to the yellow badge: Lu Yun, Chu Yan, and Tian Feng. Lu Li's eyes turned cold when he saw Chu Yan's name. Wang Ningxue sensed it and asked, "What? You know Brother Chu?" "We had a small dispute." Lu Li told her about his conflict with Chu Yan. Wang Ningxue frowned and said with embarrassment, "If it were someone else, it would be fine. Chu Yin didn't make it to the next rank. But now it is troublesome. Chu family is one of the affiliated families of the Celestial Emperor sect. They have a warrior of the Great Emperor realm in the Celestial Emperor sect. More importantly, he has become a disciple of Huang Huizhang. Our family has never been on good terms with his family. I don't think it will be easy to mediate." "No need." Lu Li waved his hand. "We are all disciples of the sect. He won't dare to mess around. If I don't take the initiative, he won't kill me in broad daylight. That's the only way." Wang Ningxue said, "Chu Yin is a violent person. He will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. I think something big will happen sooner or later. Just stay away from him. He won't do anything in the sect. Don't give him a chance." "Brother, do you know?" Wang Ningxue's eyes were filled with admiration as she said, "Another major event happened during the assessment. Our senior brother Gu Jian passed the 18th stage in the Celestial Archsword formation and was promoted from a yellow emblem disciple to a black emblem disciple. Senior brother Gu is too incredible. I think he will break through to the Quasi-Emperor realm very soon. I'm afraid he is one of the most outstanding disciples of our Heavenly Emperor sect in the past 10,000 years." Examination? Huang Huizhang's disciple? Heavenly Arch Sword formation? Lu Li frowned and asked in confusion. "We only had disciples with white badges during the assessment. There was no Emperor Sword formation anywhere." "That's a low-level test." Wang Ningxue explained, "The assessment for yellow and gold emblem disciples is done elsewhere. There are 3 places. The first is the Celestial Archsword formation. If you can pass 10 rounds, you will become a gold emblem disciple. If you can pass 15 rounds, you will be promoted to a black emblem disciple. If you can clear the Celestial Archsword formation and clear the 20th level, you can directly become an elder." I didn't know there was such a place. Lu Li had never heard of it. He was curious. "Is the Heaven Emperor's sword formation terrifying?" "Yes." Wang Ningxue nodded solemnly. "If I went, I wouldn't be able to pass 5 rounds. Senior brother Gu is the best. He is only 200 years older than me." Speaking of Gu Jian, Wang Ningxue's eyes glowed. Lu Li smiled gently and said, "Sister, it seems that you admire our brother Gu very much. Brother Gu must be a dashing and elegant man. He must be a God's chosen one." "Of course not." Wang Ningxue could tell that Lu Li was teasing her. She blushed and said, "But senior brother Gu is really good. He is ranked 36th on the master ranking. I think he will be in the top 10 after this news gets out." "What is the master ranking?" Lu Li asked. "A ranking of the young powerhouses." Wang Ningxue explained, "It is a ranking that includes all the young talents in the Endless Ruins. Only those under 3,000 years old can enter the ranking. It is fair and just. The number 1 is senior brother Moni of our Heavenly Emperor sect. Unfortunately, he has been in closed-door cultivation recently, and I haven't seen him. The number 2 is the Saintess of the Holy Lady sect. Both of them are halfway to the Emperor realm. Oh, back in the days, our master was also on the master ranking. He was ranked 3rd. Junior brother, we must all work hard and try to enter the master ranking. By then, the sect will reward us." Saintess of the Holy Lady sect. Lu Li didn't care about the master ranking, but the mention of the Holy Lady sect made his eyes turn cold. He didn't like the Holy Lady sect at all. He thought about it and said, "Senior sister, can I ask you a favor? Help me find out 2 people." "Who are you looking for?" Wang Ningxue asked casually. "The dragon rebel antelope and the exquisite elephant." Lu Li said, "They were taken to the Holy Lady sect by force. If you can't find the dragon rebel antelope, look into Lu Ling. Both of them are very young, about the same age as me." "That's easy. Our family has investigated the Holy Lady sect." Wang Ningxue nodded and said, "The 2 girls are for the Holy Lady sect? Junior brother, how are you related to them?" "They're my good friends." Lu Li said, "They were taken away by force by the Holy Lady sect. I hope you can keep this a secret for me." "Okay, I will go back and make arrangements." Wang Ningxue nodded and left. Lu Li continued to cultivate soul refining skill. The skill was abstruse. The more abstruse it was, the more powerful it would be. If it could be learned easily, then the skill would be useless. 2 months later, Wang Ningxue came back with news of Lu Ling, an exquisite elephant. They were at the Holy Lady sect, and they were still external disciples. They were valued by the Holy Lady sect, and they were being trained with great focus. Lu Li thought about it and asked Wang Ningxue to find a way to tell them that he was at the Heaven Emperor's sect. In this way, they wouldn't worry about him and ask for his information. Another month passed, and Lu Li finally succeeded in cultivating soul refining skill. He cultivated for a while and realized that soul refining skill was indeed powerful. After he started to cultivate this skill, his soul was growing rapidly. Lu Li didn't slack off during these months. He had been consuming soul-nurturing pellets. He believed that with the help of the soul fixation bead and soul refining skill, his soul would improve rapidly. The strength of his soul was similar to that of an average fifth tribulation warrior. He was confident that in 10 years, he could reach the Lord realm. Of the several soul skills he cultivated, the law of sound and soul of wind were strong in themselves. But his soul was not strong, so the power they could release was limited. If his soul could be improved, his soul attacks would be horrifying. As a matter of fact, soul attacks were not an easy path. Powerful warriors and young masters from wealthy families all had super enchanted souls to protect them. They were immune to average soul attacks. Lu Li still had a long way to go before he could become a powerful soul warrior. Another 2 months passed. Ruwei Emperor came back. Lu Li and Wang Ningxue went to greet him at once. Ruwei Emperor was delighted to learn that Lu Li had been cultivating at the Heaven Emperor universe and barely attended any banquets. The Holy Soul Bead was even more satisfied to know that Lu Li had also successfully cultivated the soul cultivation skill. Chapter 27-25. The Pond of Ancestral Dragon was not in the Celestial Emperor sect, but in the Celestial Emperor dynasty. Not many people knew about this secret area. It was Emperor Ruwei and Emperor Hung who discovered it. It was not listed as a treasure of the Celestial Emperor sect. Emperor Ruwei and Lu Li opened the spatial gate and teleported over. Emperor Ruwei did not tell others. After all, Lu Li was cultivating alone. If someone tried to assassinate him, it would be troublesome. Emperor Ruwei could not stay here for 10 years. It was better for him to cultivate in secret. When Lu Li came out from the spatial gate, he noticed that the surroundings were foul and filled with dark fog. He looked around and said, "Master, this is a dangerous place, right?" "Yes." Emperor Ruwei took Lu Li with one hand and flew forward while explaining. This used to be the place where an old demon lived in seclusion. He was good at using poisons. Nobody dared to come close within a radius of 3,000 miles. More than 1,000 years ago, Emperor Hung and I were ordered to kill this demon. After we killed him, we found that secret area. We wanted to take away the blood of the ancestral dragon, but it was too strong. We could not collect it, so we had to leave it here. Lu Li glanced around. Many places were covered in green. He was afraid that they were poisonous. With Emperor Ruwei, he did not have to worry about this. With a wave of his hand, the green fog was dispersed. Lu Li and Emperor Ruwei flew into a cave in the mountains. The cave was filled with poisonous fog. Emperor Ruwei had no other choice but to build a shield to isolate the fog. They moved forward and entered the deepest part of the cave. There was a dark entrance. Emperor Ruwei and Lu Li dashed in. After a white glare, Lu Li felt he had come to an old world. Everything in this world was ancient. Even the trees seemed to be hundreds of thousands of years old. They were withered and seemed to be ancient as well. It was not very bright here. There was something frightening about everywhere. Lu Li looked around. Soon, he was attracted by a huge piece of bone. The bone was crystal clear and emitting divine energy. There used to be some bone dragons guarding here, but Emperor Hung and I smashed them. The Ruwei Emperor thought about it and warned, "Don't run around this place. There are many dangerous places with some ancient divine markings. Just stay in the ancestral dragon blood pool. If you can't take it anymore, come up and take a rest." After you're unable to absorb the ancestral dragon's blood, crush the jade talisman, and I'll come and take you back. Thank you, Master. Luli cupped his fists and said gratefully. Emperor Rue was being too kind to him. This was a one-sided effort without asking for anything in return. Luli could not repay this kindness now and could only keep it in mind. Let's go. Emperor Ray took Lu Li with him and flew for tens of thousands of miles. Lu Li saw many skeletons. Every bone was like a relic weapon, emitting a horrifying energy. He even saw many divine imprints. As expected of ancient divine imprints, they were extremely profound. Luli was delighted. This place was a holy land for Blood Fairy. If Blood Fairy were to spend a few more years here, her comprehension of divine inscriptions would surely improve tremendously, right? Another thousands of miles later, Lu Li's blood suddenly became restless. He sensed a surge of powerful qi and energy, which made him feel suffocated and suffocated. Lu Li's eyes glowed. The ancestral dragon blood pool must be right ahead. How strong must the ancestral dragon blood pool be? Lu Li's desire grew. The ancestral dragon blood pool must be a treasure that could elevate his abilities. It's right ahead. Emperor Ray landed on a mountain with Lu Li. Pointing to a valley in the mountains, he said, "Try to sense it and get used to it. Later, we will go down and see if you can stand it." Lu Li's blood was boiling. His eyes were filled with excitement as he stared at a small pond in the valley. The pond was not large, only with a radius of 1,000 feet. The pond was filled with brown blood, but there were divine patterns on the pond. It must have been Emperor Rue and Emperor Hung who sealed it. How could the pond still have such strong energy when it was sealed? Once the seal was undone, would the blood pressure cause his blood vessels to explode? Lu Li walked toward the pond slowly. Emperor Rue didn't come down. He stood on the peak. When Lu Li walked to the edge of the blood pond, his blood was boiling. His heart was filled with desire. He wanted to rush into the pond. Just to be on the safe side, Lu Li used the dragon entanglement skill and the heaven armor skill. He took a few breaths and nodded to Emperor Rue on the peak. The Rue Emperor released a ray of light. The divine glyph disappeared and a surge of energy spread out. Lu Li felt he was on fire. The energy rushed into his pores, making his blood run amok in his body. His blood vessels almost burst. Dragon energy. Lu Li looked down. He saw some currents of dragon energy moving in the blood. The blood was horrifying. At the moment, he even had the idea of retreating. He sensed danger. Go in slowly. If you cannot stand it, get out at once. Emperor Rue's voice came. Lu Li took several deep breaths and then walked toward the blood pond slowly. The moment he fell into the blood pond, his eyes reddened and he trembled. He fell and rolled around in the blood pond. Some of the blood in the pond seeped into his body through his pores. The blood spread to every part of his body. Lu Li felt he was on fire. This was even more powerful than flames. Flames were only burning the surface, but the blood was burning his entire body. Lu Li had gone through many pains and tribulations in his life, but this was the most unforgettable. At the moment, not only was his body burning, but his soul was as well. The pain was excruciating. If it were not for the fact that he had a strong ability to endure pain, he would have collapsed in an instant, and his soul would have collapsed. Not bad. You are better than me at enduring pain. Emperor Rue had been observing from above. He was relieved to see that Lu Li's soul showed no signs of collapse. Back in the days, Emperor Rue and Emperor Hung had been in there for several years. In the end, they could not take it anymore and left. The two were not cultivators of physical strength. It was unnecessary for them to suffer here. Lu Li, this is only the first wave. Hang in there. Emperor Rue said to Lu Li, there will be more dragon energy entering your body. As long as you can stand it, you can continue to cultivate here. Lu Li had gotten used to it. The pain was still intense, torturing his soul all the time, making him wish he was dead. But he endured it. As long as he could stand it at the beginning, he would be fine later on. Hearing Emperor Rue's words, Lu Li felt bitter. This was only the first wave. Would the second one be more horrifying? Could he stand it? Not long afterward, as more blood entered Lu Li's body, a stream of air in the shape of a dragon entered Lu Li's body. At that moment, Lu Li felt he was about to explode. The energy of the dragon energy was horrifying. He felt he had become an inflated balloon that could explode at any moment. Swell. This was the most painful and unbearable feeling. It could make one wish for death. The thing was, there was nothing Lu Li could do except to endure it. When Lu Li was about to lose his mind, the shadow of the dragon finally snuck out from Lu Li's body. Lu Li felt like he had gone from hell to heaven. Even the burning pain all over his body seemed insignificant. Okay. Chapter 27-26. Lu Li's physical strength was beyond Emperor Rui's imagination. Emperor Rui was surprised by Lu Li's ability to endure pain. The ancestral dragon blood had 2 waves of pain. If he could withstand both, then at least his life would not be in danger. It all depended on how long Lu Li could cultivate here and how much blood of ancestor dragon he could absorb. Absorbing the ancestral dragon blood here would not reduce the pain due to the strengthening of the physical body. As long as one absorbed a little, the physical body would suffer extreme pain. The most unbearable thing was the dragon energy entering one's body. The swelling pain was the most maddening. It felt as though one's body was about to explode. Back then, Emperor Rui and Emperor Hung cultivated here for 3 years. In the end, both of them gave up because both of them had powerful defensive divine arts. It didn't matter whether their corporeal bodies were strong or not. Even if the 2 of them improved their physical bodies, it would not be of much use. It was far from being as powerful as their defensive divine abilities. Therefore, the 2 of them did not continue to cultivate and left after 3 years. As there were no other treasures here other than the ancestral dragon blood pool, the 2 of them did not report to the sect. He told Lu Li 10 years, but in his mind, it would be impressive if Lu Li could hold on for 5 years. After all, enduring the pain for a long time would lead to a mental breakdown. Also, after 5 years of absorbing the blood of the ancestor dragon, Lu Li's body should be growing slower. After all, the stronger the body was, the slower the growth would be. He was looking forward to seeing when Lu Li would stop cultivating. This place was safe, and not many knew about it. Apart from Emperor Hung, only Lord Li knew. Emperor Rui was not worried about Lu Li's safety. It was all poisonous fog outside, and nobody had come in. It was unlikely that Lu Li would be discovered. Emperor Rui left, but Lu Li had no time to think about Emperor Rui because his physical body was in too much pain. Most importantly, there was a lot of energy in his body. If he didn't absorb it, he might explode and die. When the dragon blood entered the body, it itself was a very powerful energy. After the dragon energy entered, it also left behind a very powerful energy. He now had 2 choices. The first was to leave the ancestral dragon blood pool and absorb the energy. The second was to absorb it in the blood pool. He chose the second option because he wanted to see if he could enter the state of cultivation, which would make it less painful for him. He tried to enter the dreamland state. That way, he could completely forget about the outside world. It was obvious that he had failed. If the Rui Emperor and the others couldn't do it, he definitely couldn't do it either. The pain that came from his soul kept interrupting his meditation. He could only forcefully activate the marks of the great Tao to see if he could absorb the energy in his body into his meridians. No, after a while, he gave up. The pain in his body was too intense, and he couldn't concentrate at all. He had no choice but to soar into the sky and rush out of the pool. He sat cross-legged and forcefully activated the great Tao marks. This time, he succeeded. The energy within his body was continuously absorbed into his meridians. Such powerful energy. Lu Li could feel clearly that his body was growing stronger and at a fast pace. One had to know that his physical body was already comparable to a mid-stage 6 tribulation expert. The fact that he could still have such a huge improvement was enough to show how powerful the ancestral dragon's blood was. Right blood fairy. When the pain subsided, Luli told Blood Fairy to go around and study the divine glyphs. He told Blood Fairy not to go too far. She had to at least maintain a weak mental connection. Otherwise, it would be difficult to find her. After all, this world seemed to be very big. After Blood Fairy left, Luli continued to consume energy. As the energy was refined, the pain in his body began to weaken. After 6 hours, all the energy was absorbed. What? Luli sensed that the remaining energy in his soul was being absorbed by the dragon soul. The dragon soul was very excited. Just now, Luli was in so much pain that he did not have the time to pay attention to other things. Only now did he notice that the dragon soul was happily moving around in his soul and consuming all the energy. The dragon soul was not satisfied. It kept moving around in Luli's soul, which made Luli speechless. Blood of ancestral dragon, the ancestor of all dragons? Is it helpful to the dragon soul? Luli was excited. He believed that the dragon soul should be of the 8th rank. If it could evolve to the 9th rank after absorbing some blood of ancestral dragon, it would be a great deal. 9th rank enchanted souls were rare. Even young masters did not have one. Guan Qinxiu, for example, did not have one. Otherwise, Luli would not have been able to trap his soul. Go on. Luli dashed into the blood pool. Once again, he began to roll around in the pool. It was as if there was a ferocious dragon moving around in the pool. The chi and blood around him were strange. If someone happened to pass by, they would be frightened. This time, Luli stayed in the pool for an hour. Then he flew up and sat on the ground with his legs crossed. This time, it took him 10 hours to consume all the energy in his body. The dragon soul was even more excited. The energy in Luli's body was absorbed by Luli, but the energy in his soul was devoured by the dragon soul. This time, Luli didn't rush into the pool. Instead, he consumed some soul-nurturing pellets. After all, after he consumed the pellets, there would be energy enveloping the soul for the soul to absorb automatically. In this way, the soul could be strengthened. Also, the Holy Soul bead was glowing green all the time to strengthen his soul. It was a pity that Luli was suffering in the blood pool of Ancestral Dragon. He could not cultivate soul cultivation skill, or else his soul would grow faster. Splash, splash, Luli dashed in and continued to roll around in the pool. The blood was tumbling and the dragon energy was moving around. The horrifying chi and blood covered the sky. From time to time, Luli would hear painful cries coming out from the pool. It was a horrifying scene. He cultivated like this for 3 days. All of a sudden, Luli stopped because he noticed something. The amount of blood in the pool was decreasing. It was not fast, but it was decreasing. What is going on? There was a lot of blood in the pool. But at this rate, in 5 or 6 years, the blood would be gone. How could he cultivate by then? I didn't absorb much blood. Luli was confused. There was a lot of blood in his body, but the amount was small. He crawled down in the diving area and made up his mind not to roll into the center of the blood pool. He felt like his body was on fire. Enduring the pain, Luli released psychic power to check. Soon, he noticed something. The dragon soul was secretly absorbing blood. After Luli went into the blood pool, the dragon soul was not satisfied with the energy in Luli's body. Its head came out from behind Luli's head and started to absorb the blood. When Luli was in the blood pool, he was in pain all over his body, including his soul. He couldn't do anything, and he couldn't check. He couldn't even tell if there was an emperor nearby. Therefore, he didn't know what the dragon soul was doing. Damn it, Luli cursed. If the dragon soul were not his, he would kill it right away. The blood was something that could make him stronger. How could the dragon soul secretly absorb it? In a few years, the blood would be gone. How could he cultivate his body? Never mind. Luli could do nothing about the dragon's soul. After all, it was his enchanted soul. He couldn't cut off the spiritual connection with the dragon's soul. The dragon's soul had become one with his soul. What could he do? Since the dragon soul was absorbing the blood, it must be useful. Chapter 27:27. For the next few days, Luli had a hard time. He dashed into the pond without any rest. When he could no longer stand the energy, he would go back to the shore and consume the energy. When the energy was gone, he would go back into the pond. The dragon's soul had been consuming the blood in the pond quietly. Maybe it was because it was a dragon and the blood of the ancestral dragon was beneficial to it. The dragon's soul was enjoying the blood. Luli could not control it and let it do as it pleased. The ancestral dragon realm was quiet. There was no sound, no beasts or monsters. Not a single living thing. This was Luli. Any other young man would not have been able to stay here. Blood Fairy was happy as well. There were ancient divine glyphs everywhere, powerful ones at that. Blood Fairy was not in a hurry to study them. Instead, she looked around and memorized the divine glyphs so that she could study them later. Blood Fairy was not a human being. She did not have human emotions, and she did not know fatigue. The happiest thing for Blood Fairy was studying divine glyphs because that was her gift. She liked it. Time flew by. Soon, 2 years had passed. 30% of the ancestral dragon realm blood in the pond was gone. At this rate, the pond would dry up in 4 years. After 2 years, the dragon's soul showed no change. It did not evolve to a 9th rank enchanted soul. Li's heart ached. The black sheep had consumed so much blood. It would not be a big deal if it was useful. But nothing had changed. Li almost wanted to find a way to establish a spiritual connection with the dragon soul. Li had changed a lot. His physical body was at least 7 or 8 times stronger. His physical body could be comparable to a warrior at the later stage of the 6th tribulation. He no longer had to go to the shore to absorb energy. He could just stay in a blood pond. After 2 years of constant heart-wrenching pain, Li had been tormented to the point of insanity. If it were not for the fact that he had suffered more over the years, he would have asked Emperor Rue to take him away. The cultivation of a supreme immortal body was arduous and painful. Li was prepared for it. Moreover, after so many years of torture, he had become numb to it. His tolerance for pain was much stronger than ordinary people. I will rest for 10 days. Li flew out from the blood pond and landed on the grass nearby. He fell into a deep sleep without a care. Right now, he didn't care if there were any dangers or not. He didn't want to set up divine inscriptions either. His body and mind were exhausted, and he only wanted to sleep and never wake up. When he was asleep, his brows were tightly furrowed and the corners of his mouth were pursed. He looked like a beggar sleeping under a bridge in the cold wind. His robe was tattered, his hair was disheveled, and his beard was unshaven. If Wang Ningxue was here, she probably wouldn't be able to recognize him. Alas, I wonder how Li is doing now. While Li was cultivating in the ancestral dragon realm, a sigh came from a castle on a huge mountain to the north of the boundless divine ruins. The castle was not big, but the decorations were very elegant. There were 2 women sitting inside. One of them was a woman in a white dress. Her eyes were as clear as a spring, and her pretty face was flawless. Her eyes shone with the light of knowledge and wisdom. Her hair was combed into a dignified double moon bun, making her look like a bright and beautiful lady from a noble family. The other woman was colder. It was not her expression that was cold, but the coldness in her bones. Looking from afar, she was like an ice sculpture. She was not less beautiful than the other woman, and she was more slender. The 2 of them sat facing each other. One was bright, and the other was cold. Their different temperaments were pleasing to the eye. It was the cold-looking lady who spoke. She sighed and added, "The sect is forcing us to join the inner sect. If we don't, they will force us to get married. Those from the Holy Lady sect are all perverts, a bunch of crazy women." Shu, the pretty lady, made a gesture and activated the rune in the castle. She said, "Ling Long, don't worry about Li. He must be living a comfortable life if he can send a message to us secretly. The Heaven Emperor sect is the most powerful sect in the world. If he can become a disciple, he will not have a hard time." That heartless guy, Xiang Ling Long, curled her lips and said, "He is living a carefree life on his own. I think he is surrounded by beauties over there, but he doesn't think of a way to save us." "You are wrong." Lu Ling shook her head and said, "If he can send a message, it means that he has been trying to find out about us. I believe that he went to the Heaven Emperor's sect to save us. Only the Heaven Emperor's sect can suppress the Holy Lady sect. Do you understand? He's separated from us at the Tianyang dynasty. How far is he from the Heaven Emperor's sect? Why did he go to the Heaven Emperor's sect? Does he want to enjoy wealth and splendor? If that's the case, he can casually choose a dynasty or a sect, and he'll probably live a comfortable life. Alas, save us? How? Xiang Linglong sighed. We have the Holy Lady with us. Our lives are in the hands of the sect. The sect can kill us at any time. Either we join the inner sect, or we will have to listen to their arrangements and get married. I would rather die than get married. The Holy Lady sect was divided into the inner sect and the outer sect. The inner sect disciples were the core. They were the most loyal force of the Holy Lady sect. If they became inner sect disciples, they would not be allowed to get married, and they would have to fight for the sect for the rest of their lives. The outer sect disciples could get married, but the outstanding outer sect disciples had to listen to the arrangements of the sect and form marriage alliances with other forces. The Holy Lady sect was so powerful not only because of their own strength, but also because they used marriage alliances to unite many sects and families, forming a behemoth. Everyone was bound together for good or ill. If someone attacked one of the sects, the Holy Lady sect would call the other sects to join hands. Challenging one sect was equal to challenging hundreds of sections. Which force in the endless ruins of gods would dare to touch them? The Holy Lady sect was like the moon surrounded by stars. Many forces formed an alliance around them to maintain the relationship of the alliance and to infiltrate the alliance. The Holy Lady sect would constantly train the best disciples and form marriage alliances with the disciples of the other forces. Think about it. If the mother and wife of a master of a major sect were from the Holy Lady sect, many patriarchs would be married to the Holy Lady sect. There were also many elders who had a marriage alliance with the Saintess sect. If they wanted to leave this alliance, their mothers and wives would not agree. The Holy Lady, this was the number one in the world, and it could not be solved. Unless the upper echelons of the Holy Lady sect personally solved it for them, they would never be able to get rid of it. This was also a powerful method for the Holy Lady sect to control their disciples. If the sect wanted them dead, they could die at any time. Women were born with weaker personalities and were easier to control. Don't worry, there will always be a way. Chapter 27-28. I wonder where that bastard Luli is. At the same time, from a luxurious castle in the celestial sovereign came a sigh. The runes in the castle had been activated. There was no one inside except for two young men. Both of them were handsome. One of them was wearing a white robe with a blue belt around his neck. His hair was shiny, and he had an extraordinary appearance. The other one was in a black robe. He looked gloomy. The table between them was filled with top-level mystical fruits. Any one of them could be sold for tens of thousands of divine stones. It was the young man in a white robe who spoke. After a pause, he said, "Brother Guan, don't blame me for not helping you. Luli is like a turtle. I don't know where he is cultivating. I don't even have the chance to find him." The young man in a black robe was Guan Qianxiu. He was taken out of the celestial sovereign city after he was badly injured by Luli. Then, he was picked up by the Guan family. He had just arrived at the celestial sovereign city and had been pretending to be a grandson for 2 years. It was not until today that the family was willing to let him out. He had come to the celestial sovereign city with the excuse of marrying a young lady of the family. As soon as he arrived, he contacted Chu Yin and asked him to deal with Luli. Unexpectedly, Chu Yin was full of excuses. Guan Qianxiu knew very well that the conflict between Chu Yin and Luli was not deep. Luli had humiliated Chu Yin. Chu Yin had said that he would pick a fight with Luli at the sex assessment. However, Luli had advanced to the next rank. Once again, Chu Yin felt humiliated. Being humiliated was not a big deal. Luli had become Emperor Rui's protege, and it was Lord Li who appointed him to the next rank. Naturally, Chu Yin had some concerns. The Chu family was a wealthy family, and Emperor Rui was not afraid of them. That being said, they did not have the courage to go against Lord Li. "Ha ha," Guan Qianxiu said with a smile. "Brother Chu, I will find him. How about we do it together? I can't handle Lu Li on my own. You can do it with your power. Chu Yin frowned. He thought about it and said, Brother Guan, if Lu Li is cultivating in a place of treasure in the celestial sovereign realm, I will not do anything to him, no matter how bold I am. If I am caught, not only me, even the Chu family will be in trouble. Of course, Guan Qinxiu said with certainty, I can guarantee that Lu Li is not in the Celestial Emperor universe or the Celestial Emperor city. He is cultivating in a secret realm that no one knows about. When we get this information, we can do it quietly. After we kill Lu Li, we can erase all traces. Who will know? This, Chu Yin fell silent. He glanced at Guan Qinxiu and said, Old Brother Guan, since you can find out where he is, why don't you go and investigate? Then why don't you find a few people in your family to kill him? Why do you need to drag me into this? Your family has a lot of experts. I can't move it. Guan Qinxiu sighed in disappointment and said, I can find some connections to investigate Lu Li's whereabouts, but I cannot mobilize any powerful warriors of the family. This is an order from my great-grandfather. No one dares to disobey it. If you can't get it, you can hire someone. Chu Yin still did not answer. He said, There are so many desperados in the black market of the Heavens Will Pavilion. It shouldn't be difficult for you to spend some divine stones to hire some old demons, right? Could it be that you, young Master Guan, can't even afford this? I really can't afford it. Guan Qinxiu forced a smile and said, My great-grandfather gave the order in person. I don't have more than 1 billion divine stones with me. I don't have the guts to borrow any. I am afraid that if the news gets back to the family, I will be locked up for 10,000 years. I will lose my mind. Chu Yin thought about it and said, Then, how about I lend you some divine stones? But this is your idea. It has nothing to do with me. Do you understand? Brother Chu, don't you want revenge? Guan Qinxiu sneered and said, I heard that many people in our sect are talking about you. They say that you can't keep Lu Li under control. This is a blow to your prestige. I don't care what they say. Chu Yan's hand glowed. He handed over an interspatial ring and said, There are 5 trillion divine stones here. I could buy over 2 or 3 lords. But you must remember that killing Lu Li has nothing to do with me. It is all your idea. Okay. Guan Qinxiu sighed and said, Brother Chu, I will listen to you. If anything happens, I will take responsibility. Killing Lu Li has nothing to do with you. Chu Yin nodded with satisfaction and then left. Guan Qinxiu walked Chu Yin out in person and they went back to the castle. Buzzing. Suddenly, Guan Qinxiu took out a memory crystal and poured divine energy into it. In midair, there was an image of Chu Yin alone. It was Chu Yin taking out the interspatial ring, handing it to Guan Qinxiu, and saying that it had nothing to do with him. As the young master of the Guan family, Guan Qinxiu's prestige had declined and his status in the family had plummeted. That being said, it was easy for him to borrow some divine stones. Even if he didn't, he could sell some treasures and he could get several trillion divine stones. Guan Qinxiu came to Chu Yin today for the sake of this image. He wanted to drag Chu Yin down with him. He didn't have to think twice about killing Lu Li. He had to do it so that he could wash away the shame and remove the mental barrier in his mind. If he could not remove the mental barrier, he would be doomed for the rest of his life. It would be difficult for him to make any progress. He might not even reach the quasi-emperor realm, let alone the emperor realm. He used to be the chosen one, the pride of the Guan family, the leader of the younger generation in the endless ruins of gods. In the future, he could become the most powerful warrior and dominate the entire endless ruins of gods. However, all of this had been destroyed by Lu Li. Now that he was in the family, even the branch family members looked at him differently. The elders of the family were all looking at him with disappointment, exasperated that he had not lived up to their expectations. The difference filled Guan Qinxiu's heart with hatred. If he could not kill Lu Li and cut Lu Li into pieces, how could he vent his anger and remove the mental barrier in his mind? Since he had made up his mind to seek revenge, he would try every possible means to set up a trap. He could not just go to the Celestial Emperor's sect, find Lu Li and attack him directly. In that case, even if he could enter the Celestial Emperor's sect and kill Lu Li, he would still be doomed, and the Chu family would be implicated. Killing a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect was a serious crime. Someone had to be responsible. The Celestial Emperor's sect would not allow anyone to challenge their dignity. Therefore, to kill Lu Li, someone had to die. No matter how discreet he was, the Celestial Emperor's sect would eventually find out. Therefore, he made an appointment with Chu Yin and set up a trap to get this image. His goal was to make Chu Yin the main culprit and himself the accomplice. The accomplice might not die, but the principal must. As long as he killed Lu Li and was only an accomplice, the Chu family would try their best to protect him. After all, to be able to set up a trap to kill a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect and disassociate himself was a demonstration of his abilities. By then, his inner demons would be eliminated and his status in the family would be restored. He would be able to reach higher realms and return to the peak. Everything was perfect. Now it was time to find Lu Li. Only two people knew where Lu Li was, Emperor Rui and Wang Ningxue. Guan Xinxiu learned that Lu Li was not cultivating in the secret realm of the Celestial Emperor sect from Wang Ningxue. Guan Xinxiu had paid a great price to bribe a close friend of Wang Ningxue. Now, all he had to do was wait for that friend to find out where Lu Li was. Chapter 27-29. Wang Ningxue was with her best friend at the moment. She did not like the depressing atmosphere in the Celestial Emperor realm. She told Emperor Rui about this, and he said he understood. Emperor Rui gave Wang Ningxue some pointers. She was smart, and the Wang family was in the Celestial Emperor city. The Wang family had powerful warriors. Emperor Rui did not worry about Wang Ningxue's cultivation. Master and disciple did not have to stay together every day. Entering the human realm was also for cultivation. Emperor Rui had many things to attend to. He held a position in the Celestial Emperor's sect and was in charge of many industries. Wang Ningxue's best friend was a young lady from another family. Her name was Ji Yun. They grew up together and were close. Ji Yun knew that her best friend was shrewd and scheming, but she did not think that her best friend would betray her. After all, the two families were in an alliance, and they were friends. They had no conflict of interest. Ji Yun was more diligent in her visits. She talked about the situation in the Celestial Emperor sect, but more about the Ancient Sword sect and Lu Li. She did not mind. She knew that her best friend was looking for a wealthy husband. If she could marry someone with potential, it would be good for both her and her family when the man made a name for himself. Ever since Lu Li became famous, she had expressed her desire to befriend him. She went to the banquet held for Lu Li. Unfortunately, the concubine was in love with the man, but not with him. Lu Li might not even remember this person. Lu Li was not in the mood to chase after women. There were more than 100 people there that day, and he did not know the names of most of them. These days, Ji Yun had been pestering Wang Ningxue, asking her to take her to see Lu Li for a few times to chat. Wang Ningxue had no choice but to tell her that Lu Li was not in the Celestial Emperor realm or the Celestial Emperor city. Emperor Rui did not hide the fact that he was taking Lu Li away from the ancestral dragon realm from Wang Ningxue. After all, Lu Li would be away for so many years. It would be rude not to explain. Today, Ji Yun came again. She asked Wang Ningxue to take her to where Lu Li was cultivating and have a romantic encounter. This could deepen their impression, and maybe they could have a passionate relationship. You can't go there. Wang Ningxue was at her wit's end. She said, Sister Yin, stop thinking about my brother. I don't think you have a chance. There are so many outstanding young people in the sect. You can pick anyone. Why do you have to think about him? I have a few targets. Ji Yun's looks were quite good, but there was still a gap between her and Wang Ningxue. She could be considered a top-class beauty. She frowned. The problem is that people like Moni and the Ancient Sword sect don't like me. If he's just an ordinary playboy, do you think I'll have a good life if I marry him? Your junior brother is different. He doesn't have any background, but he has a bright future ahead of him. Furthermore, he isn't the type to lust after women. As long as I marry him, It's almost equivalent to him marrying into our G family. If he becomes a big shot in the sect in the future, how much face will I have in my family? You seem to have a point. Wang Ningxue was speechless. She thought for a while and sighed. Sister Yun, why is marriage so realistic in your eyes? Do you know Lu Li? Do you like Lu Li? Don't tell me you don't consider emotional factors when you marry. You can consider this, but I can't. Ji Yun smiled bitterly and said, My aptitude is limited. I'm afraid I won't be able to break through the sixth tribulation in this lifetime. In the eyes of the higher-ups of the family, I'm just a vase. Do you think I can choose my marriage? It's not like I've never liked someone before. How did that person end up? You know it as well. Didn't he run away with the god stones that my family gave him? So, I see it now. If it's a political marriage, why don't I make the first move? At least your junior brother is very pleasing to the eye. All right, Wang Ningxue sighed. As a matter of fact, she wasn't much better than Ji Yun. She couldn't marry whoever she wanted, unless she could reach the Emperor realm. In that case, nobody could stop her. If she couldn't, she would be stuck at the sixth tribulation for a long time. In the end, she would need a political marriage. Of course, she was better off than Ji Yun. If she was determined not to marry, the Wang family wouldn't force her too much. So, Ningxue, you have to help me. Ji Yun said, Bring me to the secret realm where Lu Li is cultivating. I will run into him in the secret realm. Maybe there will be sparks between us. If we can like each other, then it will be a blessing from heaven. You can't go. Wang Ningxue shook her head and said, The place he is at is too dangerous. You can't go in. Even if you go in, you'll be suspicious. After all, someone came out of nowhere. You can't go there with your strength. He is not stupid. Don't try to be clever. Don't look down on your sister Yin. After all, I am at the middle stage of the fifth tribulation and I have many treasures. Jian was obviously not convinced. She said, Tell me where it is. If I really can't go, I will have to find another chance in the future. You said it yourself. He might be gone for 10 years. I am afraid that the family will force me. Wang Ningxue said helplessly, Mount Voodoo. Ji Yun was stunned. Then she sighed in frustration and said, I really can't go there. It is too dangerous. Most importantly, it is not a place for training. Even if I ask the powerful warriors of the family to bring me there, it won't make sense. That's right. Wang Ningxue smiled and encouraged her. Sister Yun, don't worry. Maybe you will come back in 3 to 5 years. I will help you by then. You will have more chances than others. That's the only way. Ji Yun seemed to be in low spirits when she heard that Lu Li was at the Mount Voodoo. She left after chatting for a bit. Wang Ningxue told her not to tell others about it, or Emperor Rue would blame her. Ji Yun said she knew what to do. Why would she tell others about Lu Li's whereabouts? What if some other young ladies got there before her? Ji Yun left and went back to her own family. But soon, she sneaked out from the backyard. Then she rode on the chariot and went to a castle. Guan Xinqiu came in after she sat in the castle for a while. Seeing Ji Yun's complacent face, he was delighted and asked, You got something? Of course. Ji Yun proudly puffed out her chest and said, With this lady taking action, what can't be done? Where are my things? They are ready. Guan Xinqiu took out a ring, gave it to Ji Yun, and said, Lady Ji, I hope you don't lie to me about this. It will not look good if we fall out. Don't worry. Wang Ningxue said it herself. Ji Yun grabbed the ring and checked with psychic power. She was delighted. There were 3 high-level tribulation pellets in the ring. The pellets were rare, and only the Guan family could make them. With the 3 pellets, it would be easier for her to reach the 6th tribulation in the future. Where is it? Guan Xinqiu asked. Mount Voodoo, Ji Yun said with a straight face. Young Master Guan, I don't care about the feud between you and Lu Li. I just hope that if something goes wrong, you don't drag me into it. Otherwise, our families will fall out. I understand. Don't worry. If I am exposed, I will be in danger as well. If I am, it will end here. It has nothing to do with you. Chapter 2730. Guan Qianqiu's status in the family had declined. It would be more difficult for him to do things. Not only must he do it, he must do it discreetly. It'd be perfect if no one could find out. There were some demons in the black market that only recognized God's stones. More importantly, the mountain of voodoo was too remote and vicious. Nobody could go there. Therefore, if he killed Luli secretly and then ran away, what could the Celestial Emperor's sect find out? Guan Qinxiu believed it was easy to find someone. Some demons would help. Killing them was easy, but how to do it flawlessly? Guan Qinxiu didn't want to ask the demons to do it himself. He wanted to send someone to do it. After the deed was done, he would kill the one who went to ask the demons on his behalf. In this way, the trail would be cut off. Once the person in the middle was killed, there would be no way to follow up. As long as Guan Qinxiu could not be found, the Celestial Emperor's sect could not be suspicious. Without evidence, the Celestial Emperor's sect would not act rashly. After all, the Guan family was a wealthy family. Luli would not come out so soon. Wang Ningxue said it would take 10 years. Only 2 years had passed. Guan Qinxiu had enough time to plan. Guan Qinxiu knew he only had one chance. He could not be impulsive. He must act when he was sure. Let's go. He did not linger in the Celestial Emperor's city. He left quietly. His family no longer cared about him. He was half abandoned. Nobody would care where he went. Of course, he put on a disguise. He told someone that he was going to relax and then teleported away. Luli was still in the ancestral dragon realm. He did not plan to leave yet. He would not stop until he absorbed all the blood. His body and soul could not take it anymore. This was a great opportunity for him. How could he give it up? He continued to live a bitter life, sitting cross-legged in the blood pool. His body continuously absorbed the ancestral dragon's blood, enduring torture and pain at every moment. Every now and then, dragon energy would enter his body. He would swell up and feel like he was about to explode. He had to hold on. Only when he could not take it anymore would he stop and fall asleep at the bank. Emperor Rui never came once. He had many things to deal with. Also, Luli was here. It was unlikely that he would go into the blood pond when he could not take it anymore. If Luli was that kind of idiot, then he would rather die than embarrass Emperor Rui. Blood Fairy came back once. She merely exchanged a few words with Luli before she snuck away again. There were so many primordial divine glyphs in the area that Blood Fairy had benefited greatly. It wanted nothing more than to spend tens or even hundreds of years here. If it did so, its comprehension of divine inscriptions would definitely improve tremendously. Another year and a half passed. More than half of the blood in the pond was gone. The once huge pond had turned into a small puddle. Most of the blood was absorbed by the dragon's soul. Luli didn't absorb much himself. The dragon's soul had absorbed so much of such a precious treasure, but it still hadn't evolved. Luli had cursed for so many times in his mind. The problem was that he could not control the dragon's soul. Unless he didn't go into the blood pond, he could not control the dragon's soul to absorb blood. In a year and a half, his physical body had increased threefold. At this point, the base of his physical body was too big, and it was too difficult to multiply it. Luli was already very satisfied to be able to improve so much. He had absorbed too much ancestral dragon blood. Luli felt he had developed some resistance. It would be harder for him to level up in the future. That was why the dragon's soul could absorb blood so freely. Luli didn't try to stop it. After all, he didn't need much. During the year and a half, the ancestral dragon realm was in dead silence. There was no sound or living beings. It was so quiet that it was unnerving. Luli didn't have time to worry about this. He was either suffering in the blood pond or sleeping outside. How could he have time for such things? During the 3.5 years, Luli's soul was growing fast. Luli had been consuming all the top-level elixirs related to the soul. Plus, the Holy Soul bead was providing constant nourishment. Of course, his soul was improving fast. Previously, his soul was only at the initial stage of the 5th tribulation. Now, it was at the later stage of the 5th tribulation. The speed of improvement was incredible. That being said, it was only a matter of time before Luli's soul was strengthened with top-level elixirs. After the 6th tribulation, the speed of improvement would slow down. To become a powerful warrior in soul and to break the defense of a 9th rank enchanted soul, Luli's soul must be at least at the Emperor realm. All of this would take time. With the Holy Soul bead, Lu Li didn't have to worry about his soul. He could focus on the cultivation of his physical body. He didn't care about anything else other than improving his physical body to the level of a quasi-emperor. That didn't mean that he could be as strong as a quasi-emperor. Powerful quasi-emperors could kill him easily. However, his defense and speed would be improved. If he wanted to be as strong as a quasi-emperor, his physical body would have to be improved many times over. Time moved on. 3 months later, Lu Li suddenly opened his eyes while sitting in the blood pond. There was a glint of surprise in his eyes. The dragon's soul had stopped absorbing blood. Lu Li was excited. Was the dragon's soul about to level up? Whoosh! He flew up and landed on a small hill nearby. He used psychic power to check the dragon's soul in his soul. He found that the dragon's soul had returned to its original form and was not moving. Nothing. Lu Li was disappointed after a while. All the blood of the ancestor of dragon had been for nothing. He stared at the dragon's soul for an entire day. Still, the dragon's soul showed no signs of movement. **T. Finally, Lu Li could not help but curse. Then, he dashed back into the blood pond, leaving the dragon's soul alone. The moment he dived into the blood pond, he noticed that the dragon's soul suddenly glowed. Then, the dragon chi from all sides began to gather around him and snuck into his body. I am doomed. Lu Li was taken aback. The energy in the dragon chi was overwhelming. Usually, he would feel like exploding when 2 strands of dragon chi went into his body. Could he survive with so much? Soon, he realized that what he had imagined didn't happen. The strands of dragon chi entered his body and went to the dragon's soul. They were absorbed by the dragon's soul in an instant. They didn't stay in his body at all. What is the dragon's soul doing? The dragon's soul had only been moving around in his body for a while, and he already felt he couldn't take it anymore. The dragon soul was absorbing the dragon chi directly? Was it out of its mind? There were hundreds of strands of dragon chi in the pond. In an instant, the dragon soul had absorbed more than 100. There was no change after the dragon soul absorbed more than 100. But somehow, Lu Li felt something was wrong. The dragon soul had never absorbed dragon chi before. It would be strange if nothing went wrong when so much powerful energy entered the dragon's soul all of a sudden. Swish, swish, swish. When the last strand of dragon chi was absorbed, Lu Li suddenly noticed that all the dragon blood was surging. Then, it entered his body at a horrifying speed and was absorbed by the dragon soul. Previously, the dragon chi only flashed across Lu Li's body, but the dragon blood was different. It went into Lu Li's body through his pores. It meant that Lu Li's body was filled with dragon blood. At that moment, Lu Li felt he was going to explode. His body could not stand the pain, and he passed out. Even after Lu Li passed out, the dragon blood did not stop. It kept surging into his body. The dragon blood was getting lesser and lesser. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, it was all gone. Lu Li was lying in the bear pond, like a mummy. Chapter 27:31. Enchanted souls were quite common. Usually, the souls of ferocious beasts and beasts would have their consciousness erased and then be refined into souls to protect the souls. It was common knowledge in the third heaven and the endless ruins of gods that enchanted souls could level up. That being said, the chances of leveling up were small. It was rare to find one in 10,000. The enchanted souls that leveled up were of a low level as well. It would only happen under special circumstances. The blood evil emperor knew that the dragon soul had been absorbing dragon blood. It was normal for a dragon to absorb the blood of an ancestor of a dragon. The blood evil emperor had thought that the dragon soul would level up. However, it didn't seem to be leveling up. Instead, it seemed to be mutating. This made the blood evil emperor curious. He had been observing the situation of the dragon soul. Lu Li carried his hope of revenge. The blood evil emperor didn't want Lu Li to die. After the dragon's soul absorbed all the dragon energy and blood, it began to glow as if it had come to life. The dragon scales on its body became clearer. It wandered around in Lu Li's soul and then disappeared into the holy soul bead. The Blood Evil Emperor was even more surprised. The Holy Soul Bead was a powerful treasure. The Blood Evil Emperor was just a remnant soul, and he couldn't sense what was going on inside. Therefore, he didn't know what the dragon soul had become. Normally, enchanted souls were engraved in the soul, integrated with the soul, and protected it at all times. How could the enchanted soul run away? The treasure that went into the soul was like a living thing. Inevitably, the Blood Evil Emperor was surprised. What happened after a while made the Blood Evil Emperor even more surprised. The Holy Soul Bead was supposed to emit a faint green light, which could strengthen Lu Li's soul. At this moment, some white airflow suddenly appeared on the surface of the bead. The white airflow spread to Lu Li's body and was absorbed by his body. After the time for 10 breaths, Lu Li's skin began to change. Some looming silver scales appeared. The silver scales were light in color. It was as if Lu Li's body was covered with silver tattoos, which made him look more like a monster than a human being. Lu Li didn't know that. He had passed out. He wouldn't wake up even if someone cut him into pieces. The silver airstream kept coming out from the Holy Soul Bead. The tattoos on Lu Li's skin were getting clearer and more solid. After a while, dragon scales appeared on his skin. They were not illusory, nor were they painted on. They were real dragon scales. This kid has also mutated. Could he have become a dragon man? The Blood Evil Sovereign was very surprised. Even though he had seen countless strange things, this was the first time he had encountered such a thing. A perfectly fine human actually mutated? Was he going to become a beast man? Crack, crack, crack. 2 bones on Lu Li's back suddenly protruded out. Then flesh grew out from his back. The flesh grew longer and longer. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Lu Li's back became a pair of wings. It's over. This kid has really mutated into a dragon man. The Blood Evil Emperor watched on helplessly. Although he had a lot of tricks up his sleeves, he was helpless at the moment. This was Lu Li's own mutation. No one could help him or stop him. Lu Li used to have a bloodline skill called Dragon Wings, but that was just an illusion. Now it was a real dragon wings, a part of his body, just like his hands and feet. If this wasn't a mutation, then what was? He was no longer a pure-blooded human. Crack, crack, crack. The top of Lu Li's spine protruded out and his silver tail grew out. 2 dragon horns grew out from his head. At the same time, his fingers grew longer and sharper, turning into dragon claws. Later on, the Blood Evil Emperor was no longer surprised. Now that Lu Li had grown dragon scales and wings, it was not surprising that he had a dragon tail, horns, and claws. It took more than 10 hours for the transformation to end. Lu Li had completely become a dragon warrior. Apart from the fact that there were no scales on his face, his entire body was covered in scales. He had dragon wings on his back, dragon horns on his head, dragon claws on his hands, and a dragon tail more than 10 feet long on his butt. He had become a small silver dragon. He hadn't woken up yet. He had been lying at the bottom of the pond, completely unaware of his own transformation. The silver airstream was still surging out from the Holy Soul Bead. Even though there was no change in his appearance, his body was being transformed and strengthened. This punk's physical body, Blood Evil Emperor, sensed it. He could tell that Lu Li's physical body was so strong that it could be compared to the body of a warrior of the Emperor realm. There was a faint trace of dragon chi flowing in his body. The dragon chi kept sneaking into his acupoints and then out, moving about in his acupoints. The chi and energy coming from his body were that of a ferocious beast, not that of a human. The beast energy was horrifying. It was as if Lu Li was the king of beasts and the forefather of dragons. Even though it did not affect Blood Evil Emperor, he could tell that regular lords would be overwhelmed by Lu Li's powerful chi and energy. Wherever the dragon chi goes, my physical body will be stronger. Blood Evil Emperor noticed something else. When the dragon chi flowed on Lu Li's arms, his arms would become stronger. It was the same when the dragon chi flowed on his feet and head. With this kind of defense, even an ordinary lord wouldn't be able to harm him, right? Blood Evil Emperor was surprised, happy, and worried at the same time. It was understandable that he was happy. On the other hand, He was happy because Lu Li's abilities had become stronger, and it was a significant improvement. He was worried that Lu Li would not be able to accept this. Neither would humans. Lu Li would lose his mind. How could Blood Evil Emperor help Lu Li get revenge when he was crazy? A man suddenly turning into a beast. Even a warrior of the Emperor realm would have a mental breakdown, let alone Lu Li. After all, humans were social animals. They needed to socialize. They could not live by themselves. What was the point of having the most powerful strength if one lived by himself? What would he do with it? Blood Evil Emperor waited quietly for Lu Li to wake up. He wanted to ask Lu Li about the situation and see if there was any solution. Blood Evil Emperor knew that Lu Li would not be able to accept his current appearance. He would lose his mind. This wait lasted for a full 10 days. 5 days ago, the silver airstream stopped coming out from the Holy Soul bead. Lu Li's physical body stopped growing as well. There were more than 300 strands of dragon chi in Lu Li's body. They must be the dragon chi from the pool of Ancestor Dragon. They were all in Lu Li's body. The dragon chi did not go back to the Holy Soul bead. Instead, it hid in Lu Li's acupoints and vanished. After Lu Li woke up, he didn't open his eyes. Instead, he shook his head in a daze. He felt like he had had a very long dream and had seen too many strange things. However, these things weren't like ordinary dreams that would fade away after waking up. It was more like someone had forced a lot of information into his soul, and he had to memorize it. There was too much information. Lu Li needed some time to digest it. Therefore, he didn't think about anything at the moment. He just tried to sort through the information in his mind in a daze. Holy Blood of Ancestor Dragon. 3 transformations of dragons? After a while, he opened his eyes and crawled up. He murmured to himself and was about to sit up when he realized something was wrong. There was something on his butt. Chapter 2732. Lu Li was in a daze. All of a sudden, he realized he had a tail in his hand. What was more, his hands had become beast claws and his arms were covered with dragon scales. Lu Li was scared out of his wits. He thought he had seen a ghost in broad daylight. With this jump, he realized that his speed was actually several times faster than before. With a single jump, he had rushed up 5,000 kilometers into the sky. When he looked down, he saw his own tail. Standing in midair, Lu Li reached out his hand to rub his face. When he raised his hands, he saw a pair of dragon claws. He was confused. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and forced himself to calm down. "Little Lu, calm down." A voice came to Lu Li's mind. It was the voice of the Blood Evil Emperor. Lu Li felt he had grasped at straws. He immediately transmitted his voice over. "Senior Fiend Sovereign, what exactly has happened? How did I become like this?" "Don't worry." The Blood Evil Emperor's voice was calm. He said, "When you were in a coma, something happened to your body. But I think it can be taken care of. Calm down. Think about it first." Lu Li calmed down completely after hearing the Blood Evil Emperor's words. He used his divine telekinesis to scan his body, and his expression quickly became extremely gloomy. Under his inspection, he had now become a dragon man, a complete dragon man. Other than his face being the same as before, everything else was different. His shiny silver scales gave off a cold glare. His horns were emitting a strange chi and energy. His claws were no different from those of dragons. His tail was waving and his wings were flapping. He was no different from a half-beast dragon warrior. He was a living, breathing, little silver dragon with human nature. "Calm down, calm down." Lu Li told himself to calm down. He took several deep breaths and landed. He closed his eyes to recall what had happened. It seemed the dragon's soul had absorbed dragon energy, and all the dragon blood had been absorbed. Then he passed out because he couldn't take it anymore. Dragon's soul. Lu Li checked his soul with psychic power to see if the dragon's soul had leveled up. To his surprise, the dragon's soul was gone. His soul was empty. He was astonished. The Blood Evil Emperor transmitted a message to him. "Your demon soul has entered the Holy Soul Pearl." The Blood Evil Emperor told Lu Li about Lu Li's condition after he fainted. Then he said, "Punk, don't worry. We will figure out a way to turn you back into a normal human being. All right, thank you, Senior Evil Sovereign. Luli began to sort through the extra information in his mind after he sent the message. Previously, he thought it was a dream, but now he realized that there was a lot of information in his mind. He calmed down and carefully organized and analyzed it. After a while, he opened his eyes and said, "Fiend Sovereign, I found a way to deal with it. This isn't a mutation. It's a divine ability. It's the innate divine ability of the ancestral dragon. The dragon soul must have devoured the ancestral dragon's blood essence and refined the ancestral dragon's mark within the blood essence to pass this ability to me. Of course, it's also possible that I've refined a lot of giant dragon blood essence before, and it resonated with the ancestral dragon blood essence, giving me the divine dragon transformation." Divine dragon transformation? The Blood Evil Emperor was slightly stunned and asked, "Is it similar to the reverse dragon transformation? Then it's okay. I can go back to my original form at any time. As long as I am a human, I will not be rejected by humans. It's similar to the reverse dragon transformation, but it should be more powerful and more advanced." Luli made up his mind based on the information in his mind. A glint of excitement rose in his eyes. He began to connect the dots in his mind. Some questions that had been bothering him for years seemed to have been solved. He was born in the Heaven Reverse universe, where many people could awaken bloodline skills. The Lu family, for example, had the mystic armor skill. That being said, most people only had one bloodline skill. Luli, on the other hand, had many. Burning blood skill, dragon roar skill, dragon claw skill, dragon wing skill. Only today did he realize that all the skills were one, the divine dragon transformation. In other words, the previous bloodline skills were not complete. They were all contained in the divine dragon transformation. The dragons in the world were one family. However, there must be differences between the dragons in the human world, the dragons in the divinity, and the dragons in the endless ruins. The blood Luli was absorbing was the blood of the ancestor dragon, the first ancestor dragon born in heaven and earth. The other dragons were the offspring of the ancestor dragon and other ferocious beasts. The dragon had 9 sons, and each one was different. Because there were no female dragons, the second generation of the dragon clan's bloodline was naturally impure. Generation after generation, the dragon clan's bloodline would become more and more impure and weaker. The dragons of the Heaven Reverse universe could no longer be called real dragons. They merely had some genes of the dragons in their bloodline. The dragon soul in Lu Li's mind was given to Lu Ling by the dragon rebel race. That was a pure dragon. Under the influence of the dragon soul, and after absorbing some dragon blood, Lu Li had awakened one bloodline skill after another. That being said, those were all part of the divine dragon transformation. Today, he absorbed the blood of the ancestor dragon. Under the influence of the dragon soul, he had obtained the real bloodline skill. Before, the dragon wings were illusions and the bloodline skills were weak. Now, the divine dragon transformation was the real powerful skill of the dragon race. It was the skill contained in the origin blood of the ancestor dragon. Phew, Lu Li calmed down after he had sorted everything out. He roared and spread his wings. He dashed forward like a sharp sword. In an instant, he was thousands of miles away. He cried into the sky. He felt he was filled with endless strength. At that moment, he even felt that he could crush a lord in an imperial weapon. Of course, this was just a feeling. Sovereign weapons were tough. How could he crush them? Lu Li dashed back and landed by the pond. He could not sit down. He had to stand and cultivate. He began to study the information in his mind, trying to figure out how to deactivate the divine dragon transformation and return to his original self. However, after half a day of meditation, Lu Li suddenly felt weak all over. The powerful strength faded away like tide water. He knelt on the ground and then passed out. After he fainted, the scales on the surface of his body slowly retracted into his body and gradually faded. The dragon wings and tail on his back began to shrink as well. Eventually, they disappeared. So did the dragon horns and claws. They shrunk back to their original forms. Luli had become a normal human being. He lay on the ground naked, which was an indecent sight. If someone else were passed by, they would think he was a weak young man who was being humiliated. This is a skill. Chapter 27:33. There is no one on the Mount Voodoo. Outside the Mount Voodoo came 3 old men with unique appearances. One of them was a brawny bald man. One was a white-haired Taoist priest, and the last one was a skinny old man. The 3 of them circled around the Mount Voodoo and checked with psychic power, but they didn't find any living beings. The poisonous fog on the Mount Voodoo was thick, and it was everywhere. If the 3 were not lords, they wouldn't have the courage to come here. Even so, the 3 of them were careful. They used psychic power to check everywhere, but they couldn't find anyone. Is there something wrong with the information? The brawny bald man frowned. He waved his hand impatiently and said, "If there is something wrong with the information, then it is none of our business. We won't refund the deposit. What a waste of our time." "Zosan, don't worry." The short old man waved his hand and said, "Let's take a closer look. There are some divine glyphs in several places. Maybe they are in there. Let's go and have a look." All right. The 2 followed the short old man. After another round of searching, they arrived at the entrance of a cave. There were divine glyphs at the entrance, and they were powerful. The 3 of them noticed it, but they didn't dare to come in rashly for fear of being killed. This should be a divine glyphs of an Emperor Realm warrior. The short old man thought about it and said, "Is it Emperor Rue's divine glyphs?" The 3 of them were invited by Guan Chinchio to kill Luli. Guan Chinchio didn't hide Luli's identity, and he told them everything. The 3 of them were good friends. They were known as the 3 heroes of the Demon Lake, and they were professional assassins. If the 3 knew that Guan Chinchio had lied to them, then the 3 of them would try their best to kill Guan Chinchio. The 3 of them were not worried about a disciple of the Celestial Emperor sect, because they had assassinated disciples of the Celestial Emperor sect before. The 3 of them were good at assassination, and they knew how to disguise. Last time, when they assassinated a disciple, the Celestial Emperor sect thought that the disciple was killed by a beast. Luli was alone at the Mount Voodoo, which gave the 3 a good chance. After killing Luli, they could disguise him. They could make it look like Luli had died because of touching the divine glyphs or because of cultivation deviation. The 3 of them were experts in this field. As for Luli's abilities, Guan Chinchio, and Guan Chinchio did not state Luli's abilities in detail. He only mentioned that Luli seemed to have passed the 5th tribulation and that his physical and soul attacks were impressive. He also had a sovereign weapon. The 3 of them had to kill many warriors like Luli every year. Therefore, they wanted to kill Luli as soon as they found him. Then, they could disguise themselves and find a place to hide for a while. Everything would be fine after the limelight died down. Guan Chinchio's price was very high. 5 trillion divine stones, 3 tribulation pills, and 2 precious divine medicines. The tribulation transcendence pill is very valuable. There is no market for it. What was more, Luli had a sovereign weapon, which was also tempting. Guan Chinchio had originally found a scapegoat to negotiate with the 3 in his place. Unfortunately, the trio didn't buy it. After all, the matter of killing a Heavenly Emperor sect disciple was too big. The trio didn't trust the person Guan Chinchio found. Guan Chinchio had to throw caution to the wind. Average warriors could not kill Luli. The 3 of them were famous murderers in the black market. With the 3 of them, Luli could be killed. The 3 of them were famous warriors as well. If the Heavenly Emperor's sect found out, then the 3 of them would die as well. The 3 of them promised Guan Chinchio that they would not let the Heavenly Emperor's sect find out. Guan Chinchio had no other choice but to take the gamble. This is tricky. Since the 3 of them were proficient in assassination, they naturally knew something about the divine patterns. They observed for a while and realized that the divine pattern was exquisite. It was a powerful defensive one, and there was a warning one. The 3 of them were confident that they could crack the defensive one. The problem was this warning one. Once they cracked the defensive one, the one who set up the warning one would know immediately. If it was the Rue Emperor who set it up, the Rue Emperor would open the space gate at once. This place was within the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. If the Rue Emperor opened the space gate by force, he could arrive in an hour at most. Granted, an hour was enough for the three of them to kill Lu Li. The problem was that the Rue Emperor would know that someone had killed Lu Li. It was not a problem for them to run away in an hour, but they would leave some traces that the Heavenly Emperor's sect could track down. Killing Lu Li was not a big deal. But if the Heavenly Emperor's sect learned that it was the three of them who killed Lu Li, then it would be a grave matter. Even if the three of them could survive, they would be hunted down by the Heavenly Emperor's sect. They would never see the light of day again. Taoist, what do you think? The two of them turned to the Taoist, who was the core of the three. He was the one who made the decisions. The Taoist closed his eyes and pondered. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, he said, "Let's do it." Oh, Zhou San and the bald man were filled with killing intent. If the Taoist said he would do it, then he must be confident. The Taoist explained as well. He took out a mysterious black badge and said, "We will crack the divine pattern as fast as we can and kill that punk. Then, we will throw the badge away and run. We will go to the headquarters of the Luna Pavilion. We will take a detour and leave the Heavenly Emperor dynasty. We will hide in the Water Cloud dynasty for a while." Taoist, you are so sneaky. The bald, burly man laughed and said, "Let the Luna Pavilion take the blame. We can kill two birds with one stone. Those bastards from the Luna Pavilion tricked us last time. If the Heavenly Emperor sect can wipe them out, it will be perfect." The short old man sneered and said, "How about we send someone to get some evidence to the Luna Pavilion? By then, they will not be able to explain themselves. Don't overreach yourself." The Taoist waved his hand and said, "It is obvious enough that we threw their badge away. I will smash it later so that it will not be obvious. Are the people of the Heavenly Emperor sect idiots? As long as we run fast and do not give them any evidence, the Heavenly Emperor sect will have to save face. They will have to deal with the Luna Pavilion. Their higher-ups don't like the Luna Pavilion as well. Let's do it." A heavy saber appeared in the bald man's hand. He shouted, "Let's attack together and crack it as fast as we can. Let's go in and kill that punk. Then we will run." Boom, boom, boom. The three of them attacked at the same time, using their strongest moves. The defensive pattern was indeed built by the Rue Emperor. That being said, the pattern he built was not particularly strong. In the time for one incense stick to burn, the three of them had cracked it. The three of them flew in and saw a formation of illusion. Behind a formation was a cave. Their eyes glowed. Lu Li was in there. Whoosh! The three of them dashed into the cave. It was an old world. There was a faint presence of living beings in this world. The three of them were more certain that Lu Li was in there. What? Almost at the same time, the Rue Emperor, who was in the Heaven Emperor realm, put down the goblet in his hand. There were no treasures in the Voodoo Mountain. Instead, it was filled with toxic fog. Normally, nobody would go there, let alone crack the divine patterns. Not to mention to crack his runes. It was highly possible that someone was targeting Lu Li. Someone was trying to assassinate his disciple. Chapter 2734. The realm of ancestral dragons was a vast place. The three heroes of the Demon Lake had always been working together. As soon as they came in, they flew quickly and used psychic power to check for Lu Li. Unlucky for them, they were heading in the opposite direction of where Lu Li was. It would take them some time to find Lu Li. They were flying fast, almost at the top of their speed. They were racing against time. If they could not kill Lu Li in an hour, they would have to go back empty-handed. What is that? After flying for a while, the short old man suddenly frowned. They discovered an ancient divine imprint in a certain location, and beneath the divine imprint, there was a red beam of light that resembled a snake. It was an illusory silhouette. "It is just a goblin. Don't worry about it. Go and find him." The old man did not mind. If time allowed, they might take the goblin. But now was not the time. The three of them flew away and soon vanished into the distance. The goblin in the pattern was Blood Fairy. She did not have human emotions, but that did not mean that she could not make judgments. Blood Fairy sensed the murderous intent of the three. As soon as they left, she snuck away from underground and flew toward Luli. Luli was still in a coma. He had been sleeping for half a day without any signs of waking up. It took Blood Fairy the time for one incense stick to burn to come back. She sneaked back into Luli's body. Seeing that Luli was in a coma, Blood Fairy was anxious. She kept sending messages to Luli. "Master, wake up. Some powerful warriors are here. I think they are looking for you." What? The Blood Emperor sensed that something was wrong with Blood Fairy. Though he could not talk to her, he could tell that she was in a hurry. What could possibly make Blood Fairy so anxious? The Blood Emperor was a warrior that almost became a Saint Emperor. He made up his mind. A strand of soul energy came out from his bead of soul and surged into Luli's soul. Luli woke up at once. When Luli woke up, he was still in a daze and felt weak. Before he was fully awake, Blood Fairy said again, "Master, you are finally awake. I just saw 3 people, and all of them are powerful warriors. I think they are not friendly. They are filled with murderous intent. I think they are looking for you." 3 powerful warriors? Luli took out a robe and put it on. He asked a few questions. Blood Fairy told him about the situation, and he pulled a long face. "This place is filled with poisonous fog. Who would come here for no reason?" In addition, the old Taoist had said, "Don't worry about it. Look for the person first." This was too obvious. It should be targeted at him. Based on Blood Fairy's judgment, these 3 were at least lords. Luli's heart sank. He thought about it and crushed the jade talisman that the Rue Emperor had given him. There was no more dragon blood here anyway, so there was no point for him to stay here. No matter what the situation was, it was better to give the Rue Emperor a warning. If he was killed, the Rue Emperor could also avenge him. He was not in a hurry to rush out, because even if he left the Wumon Mountain, he might not be able to leave. There was too much poisonous fog. Besides, he was still weak at the moment. If he ran around recklessly, it would be easier for him to die. No matter who these 3 people were or who sent them, he treated him as an enemy. Calculating in his mind, he decided to seize the time to comprehend and grasp the divine dragon transformation first. Divine dragon transformation was a type of mystic art. Previously, when he was comprehending it, he wanted to dispel it. However, because his body couldn't take it anymore, it automatically dispelled itself. Because he was too weak, he fainted. Luli sat on the ground with his legs crossed and asked Blood Fairy to be on guard nearby. He consumed some elixirs to restore himself to the peak state. The Blood Emperor did not send a message to Luli, nor did he offer any guidance. The Blood Emperor was curious. He wanted to see how strong Luli was. Luli had learned some of the divine dragon transformation before. It was already in his mind, so he didn't have to study it out of thin air. After a while, he had a general idea. That being said, he only knew how to release the divine dragon transformation, but did not have the time to study how to dispel it. The efficacy of the elixirs spread across his body. Luli mobilized divine energy to dissolve the effects. A moment later, when the effects were all gone, Luli finally felt less weak. He waited and studied the divine dragon transformation at the same time, hoping to master this skill completely. However, a moment later, he heard 3 loud noises coming from the distance. Then, 3 strong psychic powers locked onto him. They are enemies. Luli sensed the killing intent from the psychic powers. His heart skipped a beat. He opened his eyes at once and flew up. The 3 glanced at him. The ball man took out the portrait and glanced at it. He grinned and said, "That's right, it's this brat. Kill him." "Wait," Luli shouted. "Do you know who I am? I am a disciple of the Heaven Emperor sect, the disciple of Emperor Rue. Are you sure you have the right person? We are looking for you." The bald man sneered and said, "Kid, don't blame us. You offended someone yourself, and we were just paid by them to get rid of this disaster. You can go in peace." "Wait," Luli yelled again. Secretly, he began to use the skill of dragon and heaven armor. He took out the horn and said coldly, "Who wants to buy my life? What is the price? I will pay 10 times the price for his life." 10 times the price? The 3 of them almost started a fight just now. They were stunned by Lu Li's words. Guan Qinxiu had offered a high price. If Lu Li offered 10 times the price, they could go back on their words. They were not from the same assassin organization. Guan Qinxiu wouldn't spread the news. At the very least, they could kill Guan Qinxiu and nobody would know. The old Taoist was startled for a moment and asked, "Someone spent 30 trillion godstones. Can you take out 30 trillion godstones? Or something of the same value?" Of course. Lu Li took out the 7-colored glazed pagoda and said, "This is a sovereign weapon. You know how much it is worth, right? I can give it to you. Also, I have some other valuable treasures that I can give to you. If we kill you, the treasures will still be ours, right?" The old Taoist snorted. "It is not the same." Lu Li shook his head. "My master sent me here in person. Not everyone can come here, and they won't come here. If I die, he will investigate, and so will the Heaven Emperor's sect. By then, you'll have a hard time, even if you can run away. If you take my treasures and leave now, the Heaven Emperor's sect will not make a big fuss as long as I'm alive. So, this is a better deal for you, isn't it? You have a point," the old Taoist said with a smile. "Then give us the spiritual connection with the sovereign weapon first, and then we can talk about other things." "That is easy. I have not taken control of the sovereign weapon yet. I can give it to you now." Lu Li waved his hand. The 7-colored glazed pagoda flew over at a moderate speed. It was not activated and there was no pressure. It seemed that he had not taken control of the sovereign weapon and was giving it to the three directly. "Ha ha." The bald man's eyes glowed with excitement. He came to the 7-colored glazed pagoda and reached out his hand to grab it. The old Taoist shouted, "Bald man, come back." Buzzing, the 7-colored glazed pagoda suddenly glowed. Flames surged out and enveloped the bald man. The bald man was strong, but he was on fire as well. He retreated in fear, screaming in pain. Courting death, the old Taoist and the short old man flew into a rage. They dashed toward Lu Li from the left and right. One of them had a spear in his hand, and the other one had a sword in his hand. They came to Lu Li in an instant and began to attack at the same time. Chapter 2735. To release the dragon transformation was simple. Lu Li just had to mobilize the dragon chi from his acupoints to fill his body and then trigger the dragon blood in his bloodline. The dragon blood would stimulate his body and bring about changes. Lu Li guided the dragon chi out of his body quickly. His blood was boiling. Powerful chi and energy spread out from many parts of his body. His chi and blood were soaring as well. Bang, 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 bang. Following that, the robe on his body burst open, and dragon scales emerged and covered his entire body. A pair of dragon wings sprouted from his back, and a dragon tail grew as well. Dragon horns sprouted from his head. His eyelids were covered with dragon scales. His eyes turned silver, and his hands turned into dragon claws. The old man and the old man were about to attack Lu Li from the left and right. How did Lu Li suddenly transform? He had become a dragon man. His chi and blood had become horrifying. At this moment, the two of them felt as though they were facing an extremely tyrannical dragon. The mountainous blood and chi pressure made it hard for them to breathe. The two were stunned for the time for one breath. In a fight between powerful warriors, one breath could decide life and death. Luckily, Lu Li hadn't gotten used to it yet. Otherwise, the two would have been attacked by Lu Li. Lu Li stared at the short old man coldly. Once again, the short old man was taken aback. What kind of eyes were those? To the short old man, Lu Li's eyes were not like those of a human. They were more like those of a dragon. Violent, bloodthirsty, arrogant, cold, without a trace of human emotions. The short old man felt he was back to when he was a kid, facing his first powerful beast. He felt so small, so humble, as if Lu Li could kill him with one move. Swish, Lu Li waved his dragon claws at the short old man. At that moment, the short old man finally came to his senses. He tried to step back. Lu Li realized this man was fast. He might not be as fast as Lu Li. An idea came to Lu Li's mind. He swung his tail and entangled half of the short old man's body. Die, die. The short elder's body was bound by the dragon tail, and he panicked. He swung the sword in his hand and fiercely slashed at the dragon tail. He released a very tyrannical, true meaning. The long sword emitted a blue mist, and when the long sword slashed down, the void was actually pierced, creating a crack. Bang! The long sword landed on the dragon's tail. With a muffled sound, several scales were cracked. There was a bloodstain on the dragon's tail. Luli felt a sharp pain. His eyes glowed with a red light, and the ferocious aura on his body grew even stronger. His dragon claws suddenly clawed at the short old man's head, and the other clawed at his arm. Buzz! All of a sudden, a blue halo appeared around the short old man and enveloped his head. Luli made a muffled sound when he tried to grab the halo. He could not get in. However, the other dragon claw had done its job, directly crushing the short old man's shoulder. An armor appeared over the old man's body, but it was crushed easily. Then his shoulder was crushed as well. One of his arms was torn off by Luli, and his sword was knocked away as well. Bang! Luli felt a sharp pain on his back. A spike had pierced through the scales on his back and into his body. Luli turned around and saw the Taoist was stabbing at his back. Luli yelled in rage and swung his dragon claw. The old man stepped back quickly, but he was still hit by the dragon claw. There were 3 deep cuts on his chest armor. Dying, Luli didn't mind the old man anymore. He waved his blood claw at the short old man. Half of the old man's body was entangled by the dragon's tail, and he could not move. His arm that was holding the sword was torn apart. He had other powerful skills, but he could not use them for now. Luli kept waving his dragon claw. Soon, the short old man's body was smashed. Apart from his head, the rest of his body was crushed. The old man's head had a strong defensive skill. Luli could not crack it. He could only smash the old man's body into pieces. You want to run? The old man's body was smashed, but his head was still alive. It tried to fly away in a blur. Luli flapped his wings and chased after him. He grabbed the old man's head with one claw and punched with the other. After more than a dozen punches, the shield cracked and the old man's head was smashed. Bang, bang, bang. Luli had just smashed the old man's head when he heard 7 or 8 noises behind him. Luli had no time to dodge. He felt a sharp pain on his back. He felt a gust of wind piercing in his back and exploding inside his body. Poof! He spat out some blood. He staggered and turned around to look at the old man. The old man's eyes were filled with astonishment. He looked at Luli and had a strong suspicion. Was this man a human? Or a beast in human form? His attacks were strong. Even a warrior at the initial stage of the Lord Realm would die. The short old man's attacks were powerful as well. How could he not cut off Luli's tail? How could a warrior at the initial stage of the 5th Tribulation Realm be so strong with his body alone? Only a strange beast could explain this. Guanchinchio, screw you. The old Taoist cursed. Although the 3 heroes of the Demon Lake weren't blood brothers, they had been through thick and thin together for so many years. They were even closer than blood brothers. One of them was dead, and the other was burnt beyond recognition. How could he not be angry? Bald guy, are you dead? If not, go. I will hold him off. The old man shouted and was ready to leave. He could kill Luli, but Luli's defense was so strong that it would take him some time. It took them some time to crack the defensive patterns and search for Luli. Even Emperor Rue might come if they kept this up. As an assassin, it was natural for him to run away when he missed his target. This was the most important factor for survival. He wanted to avenge the short old man, but reason told him that he must leave. You want to run? Luli shouted. His voice seemed to come from his throat, more like the roar of a beast. He flapped his wings. Instead of rushing toward the old man, he dashed toward the bald man who was still rolling on the ground. How dare you? Seeing that Luli was running toward the bald man, the old man flew into a rage. He put away the spear in his hand and took out a hammer. The hammer was covered with divine patterns and had black air flowing around. Clearly, it was a valuable piece of treasure. He moved closer to Luli quickly and smashed at Luli with the hammer. The hammer grew in size at once, glowing in a dark light. Space was trembling as the hammer smashed at Lu Li with a force that could destroy heaven and earth. Ha! Lu Li suddenly turned around. He ignored the hammer and dashed toward the old man like crazy. The old man had just activated the hammer, and it was difficult for him to step back. He swung the huge hammer at Lu Li. Whoosh! Lu Li's tail wrapped around the old man. At the same time, one of his claws turned into a fist, and he punched at the old man's head, ready to take the blow. While the old man was being entangled by his tail, the hammer hit Lu Li's fist. Lu Li's fist was cracked. His bones were broken and blood gushed out. Boom! Lu Li was smashed down. Since the old man was entangled by Lu Li's tail, he was dragged down as well. There was a pit on the ground. The ground trembled and dust rose up. Oh no! In the dust, the old man could see Lu Li's beast-like cold eyes. When he saw Lu Li waving his other claw at him, the old man sighed to himself. Chapter 2736. In the sky of ancestral dragon world, a humanoid dragon man stood in the void. His dragon tail was coiled around a person. Blood was dripping from his back and one of his hands. All the claws on this hand had exploded, and one of his arms was broken. The man entangled by the dragon's tail was filled with fear and hatred. The old Taoist could not help but hate. The information given by Guan Xinxiu was far from the truth. This was not a warrior at the initial stage of the fifth tribulation. This was a lord of the sixth tribulation, and a powerful one at that. His physical defense was comparable to that of a quasi-emperor. Swish! Lu Li reached out with his uninjured claw. Instead of the old Taoist's head, Lu Li aimed at the man's arm. The old Taoist had an armor over his body, but it could not protect him from the dragon's claw. One of his arms was broken. Lu Li moved on and crushed the man's other arm. The old Taoist didn't attack again. He knew some soul attacks, but they were not powerful. The hammer he released was his strongest attack. If he could not kill Lu Li, then there was no point in doing anything else. Both of his arms were broken by Lu Li. The old Taoist's facial muscles were twitching in pain, but his eyes were calm. He looked at Lu Li and said, "Lu Li, how about we make a deal? Let go of my brother, and I will tell you where Guan Xinxiu is." Betraying the employer was a taboo in the assassin industry. That being said, the three heroes of the Demon Lake were not just assassins. They were about to die, so they didn't have to be so particular. More importantly, Guan Xinxiu had given him false information. How could he not be angry and seek revenge? Lu Li didn't kill the man right away because he wanted to get some information. He said coldly, "Tell me where Guan Xinxiu is, and I will give you a quick death." The old Taoist sighed after some thoughts. "Okay. Guan Xinxiu is in a small mountain fort 3 million miles to the south of the Voodoo Mountain. There is a Camel Mountain nearby. That is a secret base of the Guan family. He is waiting for our news there." Bang! As soon as the old Taoist finished his words, Lu Li reached out his claw and killed the old Taoist. Lu Li didn't stop. He flew toward the bald man who was still rolling on the ground. The bald man had been burned to the point that he no longer looked like a human. His aura was also extremely weak, as if he could faint at any time. In the blink of an eye, Lu Li had flown over. Instead of using his claws, he swung his tail at them. Die! The bald, strong man, who seemed to be dying, suddenly jumped up. A cyan-colored broadsword appeared in his hand. He felt as if he had become one with the broadsword. The broadsword turned into a ray of light and hacked at Lu Li's head. At this moment, Lu Li felt the whole world had disappeared. All he could see was the glaring sword light. Without any hesitation, he raised his half-crippled arm to block in front of him. His dragon tail swept out, and at the same time, his other claw fiercely swiped forward. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lu Li's arm was cut off. The ray of sword energy was still on his chest, breaking some dragon scales. However, Lu Li's tail had reached the bald man as well. Lu Li's claw landed on the bald man's arm. Lu Li exerted force, and the bald man's arm was torn into a mist of blood. Lu Li moved his arm forward and grabbed the bald man's head easily. Amidst the bald man's terrified eyes, Lu Li crushed the man's head. The bald giant only had time to spit out a sentence. His defense is indeed very strong. Phew, phew. After killing 3 lords, Luli had suffered a great deal of damage. His back was covered in blood, and half of one of his hands had been cut off. There were also a few broken scales on his body, and his chest was stained red with blood. Well done, Luli. Only now did the blood evil emperor send a message. He said with appreciation, "Your dragon transformation is strong. Your physical body can be compared to that of a quasi-emperor. I don't think you have fully grasped it yet. You don't even know how to use the dragon chi in you. Now go and tend to your wounds. Find a way to stop the dragon transformation." No. Luli took some healing pellets. He flew down and put away the interspatial rings of the 3 lords. A glint of determination rose in his eyes as he said, "I cannot rest. I have to kill someone. I have to kill Guan Qinxiu." "Luli, don't be impulsive," Blood Evil Emperor said. "You are injured and Emperor Rue will be here soon. Are you going to kill Guan Qinxiu now? Also, the Guan family is a rich family. Killing Guan Qinxiu will bring you a lot of trouble. What if the dragon transformation is stopped halfway? You will pass out. It is because the Guan family is a rich family that I have to do it." Lu Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, "If I die, the Heaven Emperor's sect will not let go of the mastermind. But as long as I am alive, Guan Qinxiu will be fine. At worst, he will be grounded for 10,000 years or something. Someone in the Heaven Emperor's sect who is related to the Guan family will plead for mercy for him. Now that I have made a scene, I will make it bigger. After all, reason is on my side. As long as Guan Qinxiu is alive, there will be a viper hiding in the dark, striking me every now and then. I can stop him once, but not more than once. Therefore, I must eliminate him and end his life once and for all." Blood Evil Emperor thought for a while and said, "You have a point. If you're going to do it, then do it quickly. Also, do not let go of anyone in the fort. Do not tell anyone that you have the dragon transformation. This can be your secret move." "Blood Fairy, let's go," Luli shouted. Blood Fairy flew up. Luli flapped his wings and dashed on. Soon, he found the exit and dashed into the Mount of Voodoo. The Mount of Voodoo was filled with poisonous fog, and many of them were floating around. Luli could not care less. He flew up to avoid the poisonous fog. "Punk, let me help you." Blood Evil Emperor saw that there was too much poisonous fog, and Luli was too slow. Blood Evil Emperor's bead of soul glowed. A shadow came out and enveloped Luli. Blood Evil Emperor said, "Punk, go." Luli did not hesitate. He flapped his wings and dashed toward the south in a blur. The Blood Evil Emperor would not lie to him. Luli could see the hatred in the Blood Evil Emperor's eyes. The Blood Evil Emperor even cursed at Guan Qinxiu. Clearly, the Blood Evil Emperor hated Guan Qinxiu for giving him the wrong information, which caused the 3 of them to lose their lives. Therefore, the Blood Evil Emperor wanted to get back at Guan Qinxiu. His recovery is so fast. Luli felt his wounds were healing fast. This was not because he had taken healing pellets. It was because his body was healing fast in the dragon transformation state. Though his arms were not growing back so quickly, the wounds had stopped bleeding and they were healing. The dragon energy is really useful. Luli remembered Blood Evil Emperor's words. He used the dragon energy to check his wounds. They were healing faster. While flying, Luli thought about the fight. I must learn to use the dragon energy. Wherever the dragon energy goes, my body will be stronger. Chapter 2737. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn after Luli left, the space on the Voodoo mountain began to tremble. Following that, a huge black gate came out from which a man flew out like a sword. He was surrounded by toxic fog, but he didn't mind. He dashed into the cave in a blur and appeared in the ancestral dragon realm in an instant. It was the Rue Emperor. As soon as he came out, he used psychic power to check. Soon, his expressions were awful. He smelled blood. He flew over at the top of his speed, so fast that not many could see him clearly. In the time for a dozen breaths, he arrived at where Lu Li and the three were fighting. He glanced around and saw the three corpses. His eyes were filled with shock. The three heroes of the Demon Lake had died a miserable death. Their heads were crushed, and the other two were dismembered. Pieces of flesh were everywhere. There were signs of fighting. It was a mess. Where is Lu Li? The Rue Emperor checked with psychic power. Soon he was shocked again. The blood in the pool of ancestral dragon had dried up. Not a drop of blood remained. But he did find some pieces of Lu Li's robe. Scales? What kind of beast are these scales? Where did they come from? The Rue Emperor also saw some scales. The Rue Emperor was confused. Soon he found Lu Li's hand that was chopped off. The arm was incomplete. One part of it was broken. But the Rue Emperor was even more surprised to see scales on the arm. The Rue Emperor started from a humble background. He had gone through many battles in his life and had rich experience. He could tell what was going on after a few glances. There were only 4 people fighting. Apart from the dead, there was only one person left. That person had scales. Judging from the marks on the body, this person did not look like a human being, but a beast. Lu Li's robe was nearby. Therefore, the Rue Emperor came up with a bold assumption. That beast with human nature was Lu Li. The problem was that Lu Li was a pure-blooded human being. If Lu Li was a beast that had transformed into a human being, then Lu Li must be a Saint Emperor beast to be able to hide from the Rue Emperor and so many emperors. This is strange. The Rue Emperor could not figure it out. But he could tell from the situation that Lu Li was not dead. But he was injured. Judging from the bloodstains, he could tell that Lu Li had left. Go. In any case, Emperor Rue decided to find Lu Li first. If Lu Li really was a beast in human form, then Emperor Rue would have to deal with him. He followed the trail of blood and quickly left the Witch Mountain. He scanned the area with his divine telekinesis and discovered that the trail of blood was spreading towards the south. The poisonous fog here is so powerful, but he can actually withstand it? The Rue Emperor couldn't figure out again. He could only fly all the way to the south, but after flying for a distance, the bloodstains disappeared. That was because Lu Li's wounds had healed and he was no longer bleeding. Judging by the bloodstains, Lu Li was heading south in a straight line. Emperor Rue didn't give it much thought and went after him quickly. By the time Emperor Rue came out from the Voodoo Mountain, Lu Li had arrived at the place mentioned by the old Taoist priest. There were 2 mountains here that looked like camels. It was easy to find. Lu Li had already used psychic power to search for the bunker. He searched but found nothing. At this moment, the blood-evil emperor transmitted his voice to him. He said, "There is a powerful illusion in the small mountain on the left of Camel Mountain. The defense formation has not been activated yet. Rush in and kill all the people inside. Don't leave anyone alive." Lu Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. He released his powerful chi and blood. Instantly, the space around him became suffocating. He sped up to the extreme and dashed into the hill in a flash. He took out a saber and released a ray of sword light toward the hill. At the same time, he took out his horn, ready to attack at any time. Boom! The hill shook and the illusion disappeared, revealing a huge manor down below. Lu Li's move destroyed many castles in the manor. Teams of warriors flew up, including 2 lords. Lu Li's psychic power locked onto one of them and said coldly, "Guan Qianxiu." This manor was a secret castle. Many families had secret castles like this. There was a lord in charge of this secret castle. Clearly, this place was important to the Guan family. The 100 warriors stationed in the castle flew up in shock at the sudden attack. Some of them were injured by Lu Li's ray of sword light. They saw a strange creature that looked like a dragon person. One of its arms was broken and the scales on its chest had fallen off. It was covered in blood. It looked like a wounded beast. Guan Qianxiu was waiting anxiously in the manor. The 3 heroes of the Demon Lake hadn't arrived yet. How come such a monster had come? He attacked as soon as he arrived? Guan Qianxiu trembled when he heard Lu Li's words. He was so familiar with the voice. Who else could it be but Lu Li? He took a closer look at Lu Li's face and then at the horn in Lu Li's hand. Soon, his pupils contracted and he shouted in surprise, You are Lu Li? Yes. Lu Li sneered and said, Guan Qinxiu, you didn't see this coming, did you? The assassins you sent out didn't kill me. Instead, I killed them. They also told me your whereabouts. Now, I am here to kill you. Kill, young Master Qinxiu? A cold voice came. The lord next to Guan Qinxiu sneered and said, Are you sure you could do that? Do you think you can scare people away by changing into something that is neither a human nor a ghost? This is the territory of the Guan family. Get lost, or I will kill you. Patriarch Lu, kill him. Guan Qinxiu looked into Lu Li's emotionless eyes. His heart trembled. He crushed a jade talisman in his hand and then ran away to the south without looking back. Guan Qinxiu ran away. The Guan family warriors were surprised. Patriarch Lu was surprised as well. Then, he waved his hand and shouted, This man attacked our castle for no reason. Take him down. Woo woo. Lu Li blew his horn. As soon as the 100 warriors rushed over, they covered their heads and rolled away. Lu Li ignored them and rushed towards the lord in a frenzy. This Patriarch Lu was only at the initial stage of the sixth tribulation. Lu Li was not afraid of him. Go to hell, the Patriarch bellowed. A spear appeared in his hand. The spear was burning with black flames. The Patriarch stabbed at Lu Li with a strong, killing intent. Lu Li didn't dodge. He let the spear land on him. He swung his dragon tail and entangled the lord. Bang! The spear landed on Lu Li's chest, but only cracked a piece of the scales. Before the Patriarch could react, Lu Li had smashed the lord's head with his dragon claw. Ow! Guan Qinxiu had flown for thousands of miles, but his psychic power was still here. When he saw Patriarch Lu being killed, he was scared out of his wits. He sped up to the limit. Chapter 2738. Guan Qinxiu was being too optimistic. The 100 warriors only managed to hold him off for the time, for 2 breaths. Those warriors were all at the 5th tribulation realm, which was too weak for Lu Li. After he killed Patriarch Lu, Lu Li flew forward quickly. He took out the 7-colored glazed pagoda and threw it into the crowd. A wave of flame sprayed out, and the group of people immediately became flaming people. The flames were so strong that not even warriors at the middle stage of the 6th tribulation could stand it. They were all on fire and tumbled down. Some of the weaker ones were burnt to death right away. The others were burnt to a crisp in the time for 1 or 2 breaths. Lu Li put away the 7-colored glazed pagoda and chased after Guan Qinxiu at top speed. Guan Qinxiu had just become a lord, and speed was not his forte. On the other hand, Lu Li's physical speed was comparable to a warrior at the middle stage of the 6th tribulation. Therefore, even though Guan Qinxiu had a head start, the distance between them was narrowing. Lu Li was anxious. He was not afraid that Guan Qinxiu would run away, but that there were cities nearby. What if his appearance was seen by the people in the city? Would he kill everyone in the city? That was not something he could do. He circulated his draconic chi to his wings, causing them to flap at a slightly faster rate. His speed also increased. He used his divine sense to scan Guan Qinxiu, saying, Guan Qinxiu, stop running. You can't escape. Go back to the Celestial Emperor's sect with me, and you will have a chance to live. This was Lu Li's stalling tactic. As long as Guan Qinxiu was shaken, he would slow down and go back with Lu Li. Naturally, Lu Li would not take Guan Qinxiu back to the Celestial Emperor's sect. Lu Li wanted to kill him directly. If Guan Qinxiu was brought back to the Celestial Emperor's sect, not only would his skills be exposed, but Guan Qinxiu would be protected by the Guan family. He might be released again in a few hundred years. That was Lu Li's character. He would repay kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. As long as he could, he would carry it out immediately. Revenge could not be delayed overnight. Guan Qinxiu was intrigued by Lu Li's words. If he went to the Celestial Emperor's sect, he would have a chance to live. After all, his great-grandfather was the family patriarch of the Guan family, and his father was a patriarch. The Guan family would not allow a disciple of the immediate family to be killed like this. That would tarnish the Guan family's reputation. By then, the Guan family would use all kinds of resources. Guan family would have a chance to save him. No, Guan Qinqiu calmed down soon. He looked back into Lu Li's eyes, which were filled with coldness and bloodthirst. Lu Li didn't show any mercy when he killed Patriarch Lu, which indicated that he was a decisive person. If Patriarch Lu were to fall into Lu Li's hands, he would definitely die. Lu Li had killed the 3 of the demonic lake and was injured badly. Lu Li had come here just to take him back to the Heaven Emperor sect. He took out a pill. This pill could temporarily increase his battle strength and speed by at least 2 to 3 times. There was a city a million miles ahead. On the surface, this city had nothing to do with the Guan family, but it was actually controlled by a branch of the Guan family. He had crushed the Jade Talisman just now, so there should be experts coming over to help. Guan Qinqiu sped up. Lu Li should have been able to catch up with him soon, but now it would take him more time. 2 green lights flashed in his eyes as he released the Wind Spirit technique. Although the effect was weak from such a distance, it would still be good if he could interfere with Guan Qinqiu. After using the Wind Soul art dozens of times, it finally showed some effect. Guan Qinqiu's speed began to slow down. Lu Li's spirit was lifted. He continued to release Wind Soul skill and sped up to catch up. Well, all of a sudden, Lu Li felt a sense of weakness in his soul. He was surprised. The first time he used the dragon transformation, he seemed to have lasted for more than half a day. How come he could not hold on after such a short time? Was it because of his wounds? It was okay if he could not hold on. What mattered was that Guan Qinqiu was not dead yet. Who knew if there were powerful warriors of the Guan family nearby? The Blood Evil Emperor had been keeping an eye on Lu Li. He sent a message at once. You must finish the fight in the time for half an incense stick to burn. Find a safe place to hide, or else you will be in big trouble. Buzzing. Lu Li took out the 7-colored glazed pagoda and kept releasing Wind Soul skill at the same time. The 7-colored glazed pagoda flew over quickly. The gate at the bottom opened. A suction force came from it, slowing Guan Qinqiu down. No! Guan Qinqiu's eyes were filled with despair. He shouted, Lu Li, the Guan family city is nearby. Powerful warriors of the Guan family will be here soon. How dare you kill me? His shout was so loud that it could be heard in an area with a radius of tens of thousands of miles. There were some secret forts nearby. Not all of them belonged to the Guan family, but as long as there were people, it was okay. Guan Qinqiu's intention was clear. He wanted everyone to know that if he died, it would be because of Lu Li. Lu Li went after him without saying a word. Guan Qinqiu shouted again, Lu Li, you may be a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect, but you cannot be so lawless. I am a young master of the Guan family. If you dare to kill me, the Guan family will not let you go. The rules of the Celestial Emperor's sect will not forgive you. There are many people nearby. They will testify. You cannot hide the news. This time, Guan Qinqiu shouted even louder. In the distance, there were people flying out from the mountains. Even though they didn't come over openly, they were sneaking over to gather information. Lu Li sensed that at least dozens of people were sneaking over from all sides. They must be scouts from nearby forces or people who just happened to be passing by. Lu Li put on a bitter expression. It would be hard to hide his skills, but he didn't mind it. He would kill Guan Qinqiu first. He was getting closer and closer to Guan Qinqiu. His soul of wind was getting more and more powerful. Finally, Guan Qinqiu stopped running. His eyes were filled with desperation and madness. He yelled hysterically, Lu Li, kill me. Even if you kill me, there are many others nearby. You cannot hide the fact that you are a mutant. Ha, 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 ha. A disciple of the Celestial Emperor sect, the personal disciple of Emperor Ray, is a half-orc with a bloodline of beasts. This news will shock the entire endless ruins of gods. Die. Guan Qinqiu was still slandering Lu Li at the brink of death. Lu Li dashed over in rage. He kept releasing Soul of Wind. Guan Qinqiu could not stand it anymore. The attacks on his soul were so fierce that he couldn't even speak. Whoosh! Lu Li dashed over and swept Guan Qinqiu up with his tail. Lu Li reached out his claw and crushed Guan Qinqiu's head with psychic power. Guan Qinqiu dead. Boom! Lu Li grabbed Guan Qinqiu's interspatial ring and smashed the body to the ground. Then, he dashed toward the north in a blur. The weakness in his soul was growing stronger. He must find a safe place to hide, or he would be in trouble when the powerful warriors of the Guan family came. What? As soon as Lu Li flew away, a commotion broke out. Nearly 100 people gathered nearby. They all saw how Lu Li killed Guan Qinxiu with psychic power. Lu Li's dragon wings, dragon scales, his long tail, his sharp claws, his eyes as cold as a beast's, and his qi and energy rose to the sky. All of this shocked the people nearby. The one who was killed claimed to be the young master of the Guan family. That dragon man was a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect, the personal disciple of Emperor Rui. Chapter 2739. Not long after Lu Li left, more than a dozen powerful warriors of the Guan family came. There was a branch of the Guan family in a nearby city with more than a dozen lords. The powerful warriors of the Guan family knew that Guan Qinxiu was here. Just in case, Guan Qinxiu asked for a jade talisman of warning. Patriarch Lu was dead, and his jade talisman of life was broken. Therefore, all the powerful warriors in the city were sent out, and they flew over. They were not far away from Guan Qinxiu. They arrived shortly after Lu Li started to run. They found Guan Qinxiu's body. Even though his head was broken, they could recognize him. Qinxiu was killed. The more than a dozen lords were furious. Guan Qinxiu had been suppressed by the family and neglected. But he was a direct descendant of the Guan family, the great-grandson of the current Guan family patriarch. Both Guan Qinxiu's grandpa and father were important figures in the family. His death was the greatest provocation to the Guan family. Whoosh! Not far away, a warrior flew up. He had been lurking nearby and witnessed how Lu Li killed Guan Qinxiu. He reported what he saw to his superiors at once. Disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect? Emperor Rui's personal disciple? Someone's expressions changed. The Celestial Emperor sect was the most powerful sect in the world. Anything related to the Celestial Emperor sect should be treated with caution. If it were anyone else, they would have killed their way to the family directly. But Lu Li had to be careful. They couldn't go to the Celestial Emperor sect, could they? Go! The family patriarch of the Guan family shouted. We must take him down no matter what. We will tie him up and send him to the Celestial Emperor sect. We will demand an explanation from them. Let's go. Not long after Lu Li left, the warriors split up into groups of 3 and fanned out to the north. Lu Li's qi and blood were vigorous. He had just killed someone, and there was a residual smell of blood on him. The warriors could track him down. Soon, they arrived at the secret fort. It was a mess. 100 warriors were burnt to ashes. Patriarch Lu's head was crushed as well. He died a miserable death. The more than a dozen powerful warriors were enraged. They didn't even have the time to collect the bodies. They continued to run to the north. Lu Li was still flying toward the north. He felt weaker and weaker. After hundreds of thousands of miles, he felt he could no longer fly. He scanned his surroundings with his divine telekinesis and randomly found a cave in a large mountain before rushing in. Blood Fairy, arrange the divine runes, Lu Li said, and then passed out. The dragon scales on his body disappeared as well. His wings, horns, tail, and claws were all gone. He turned back into a naked, weak young man who seemed to have been humiliated. His appearance was extremely indecent. Blood Fairy began laying out divine runes, but it took time. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, the sound of breaking came from behind. The Blood Evil Emperor's voice sounded, "Oh no. The experts of the Guan family are coming." The Blood Evil Emperor was only left with a wisp of remnant soul. If he hadn't died, even 3 to 5 great emperors would have been able to kill him easily, let alone these lords. Right now, he was only left with a remnant soul. Although he still had his battle prowess, if he were to use his full strength, he might not be able to kill these people. However, his soul power would definitely be completely exhausted. There's no other way. The Blood Evil Emperor sighed. If Lu Li were to die, then his remnant soul would dissipate as well. The Blood Evil Emperor would have to risk his life. If there were only 3 to 5 overlords, he was confident that he could kill them all. However, if there were a few quasi-emperors, then there was nothing he could do. Over here, in the distance, a lord locked onto Lu Li with psychic power and let out a long howl. Then, lords from all directions began to gather over. They had followed the smell of blood to this place. However, there were no dragon scales, wings, or tail on Lu Li's body. Instead, he was naked, and he was in a coma. It should be him. A lord took a look and said, "His arm is broken and there is blood on his hand. He is in a coma. I don't think he can sustain the transformation for a long time. It is him. Let's take him down." More than a dozen lords came over. Their family patriarch waved his hand, and one of them dashed over. He dashed over to Lu Li, made a fist, and punched at Lu Li's abdomen. He wanted to shatter Lu Li's pellet first, so that he would be disabled. Lu Li had killed Patriarch Lu and Guan Qinxiu. According to the scout, Guan Qinxiu was killed in an instant. Therefore, the lord had to be careful. Buzzing, a shadow suddenly appeared from within Lu Li's body. Then, the shadow flashed and disappeared into the lord's body. Then, the lord's eyes rolled over, and he suddenly fell to the ground. Boom! The lord fell to the ground. His eyes were bulging. Gradually, he stopped breathing. His eyes were filled with fear. He died with everlasting regret. Brother 14. What? How? The more than a dozen lords in the sky were wide-eyed. They could not believe their eyes and were filled with anger. This lord was not weak. He was at the middle stage of the sixth tribulation. How could he be killed in an instant? More importantly, Lu Li did not move at all. He seemed to be in a coma. He was still in a coma. Lu Li's divine energy and soul energy did not fluctuate. Nobody knew how this lord died. Kill him. The lord of a branch was enraged. At the moment, he no longer cared about the fact that Lu Li was a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect. Lu Li had killed their lord right in front of them. They couldn't care less. Even if Lu Li was a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect, they would deal with it later. Buzzing, they mobilized divine energy and took out their weapons. Lu Li's moves were so strange that they dared not to get close. They had to kill Lu Li from a distance. It is over, the blood evil emperor sighed. He could not stand the continuous attacks from more than a dozen lords. If there were only 3 or 5 lords, he could take the initiative and kill them all. But there were so many lords, and the family patriarch of the branch was very close to the quasi-emperor realm. The blood evil emperor would be smashed apart even if he dashed out. Boom, 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 the hill was flattened in an instant. The blood evil emperor tried his best to build a shield to protect Lu Li. The blood evil king's shield was strong, but could not withstand such a powerful attack. The shield was torn apart, and Lu Li was badly mutilated. Fortunately, Lu Li's body was strong. With the shield of the blood evil emperor, he was not killed, but his injuries were serious. After a round of attacks, they realized that Lu Li was still alive. They looked at each other, speechless. Was he a disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect? Was he not a patriarch of the Celestial Emperor's sect? Go on. The family patriarch of the branch made up his mind. He yelled and called for more attacks. The blood evil emperor lost all hope. He felt aggrieved. If he were not a remnant soul, it would be so easy for him to kill these lords. Swish, swish, more than a dozen attacks whooshed on. When they were about to hit Lu Li, the space in front of him began to tremble. Then a man showed up. He was wearing a cyan robe, like an elegant scholar. With a wave of his hand, an invisible ripple spread out. The attacks of more than a dozen were all shattered. Emperor Rui, the family patriarch of the branch, yelled in surprise. The Guan family were all familiar with the emperor of the Celestial Emperor sect. This man was once a famous, powerful warrior. How could they not know him? Chapter 2740. Ever since the Rui Emperor joined the Heavenly Emperor's sect, he practically vanished without a trace and kept a very low profile. He didn't want to be in the limelight and rarely fought. Therefore, the Rui Emperor's reputation in the endless ruins of gods had weakened a lot over the years. But at this moment, Emperor Rui's casual words made the Guan family feel his domineering and insolence. It wasn't scary when the lion was napping, but once the lion showed its might, the domineering aura of the king of beasts was enough to make ordinary beasts tremble in fear. The Guan clan was a prestigious clan, and it was a prestigious clan of the Heaven Emperor dynasty. The Guan clan had produced many experts in the past, and there was even an old Guan emperor who was a famous great emperor in the Heaven Emperor sect. However, the Guan clan wasn't part of the Heavenly Emperor's sect's inner circle. At the end of the day, their status was similar to the Heavenly Emperor's sect's vassal clans. If Emperor Rui really hardened his heart to act, even if he didn't destroy the Guan family, he could at least greatly damage the Guan family. It wasn't that the Guan clan didn't have any great emperors. They still had 3 great emperors. However, everyone felt that if the Rui emperor were to make a move, these 3 great emperors might not be able to stop him. This was a powerhouse who had fought against more than a dozen big clans by himself. He was a god of death who had walked out a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. If he retracted his aura, people might unconsciously ignore him. Once he drew his sword, that aura could scare ordinary people to death. Some of the lords of the Guan family were frightened, and they felt their bodies turn cold. They couldn't even muster the will to resist. If the Rui emperor wanted to make a move, they wouldn't even have the courage to do so. The patriarch of the Guan clan's branch, Guan Yun, was quite a character. His face revealed a trace of shame, anger, and grievance. He gritted his teeth and said, "Emperor Rui, even though you are a big shot of the Heavenly Emperor's sect and your combat power is unparalleled, you can't bully people like this, right? Your family's disciple killed 100 soldiers and an elder of our Guan clan. He even killed our direct descendant, Guan Chinchio, in front of everyone. Could it be that only your disciples are allowed to set fires, but we're not allowed to light lamps? Could it be that your disciple wants to exterminate the entire Guan family, and we can only wait for him to kill us? There is no such logic in this world, right? Luli killed Guan Chinchio and your patriarch." The Rui emperor was taken aback. How could Luli be so vigorous? Wasn't this just like how he was back then? Also, why was his battle prowess so strong? Killing Guan Chinchio was nothing. The 3 overlords in the ancestral dragon realm were at least mid-stage overlords. The corpse beside him was also very strong. Guan Chang'e. Guan Yun waved his hand, and a lord flew away. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, he came back with a man. It was the scout of the Guan family who witnessed Lu Li killing Guan Chinchio. Guan Chang'e's spatial ring flashed, and 102 corpses appeared on the ground. Guan Chang'e pointed at the scout and said, "Report everything you saw to the Rui emperor." The scout nervously swallowed his saliva, then recounted what Guan Chinchio had shouted and what he had seen. In the end, he added, "There were at least 100 people who saw this. If the Rui emperor needs them, we can find those people. And I reckon that once this matter spreads, it will spread throughout the Sky Emperor dynasty very quickly." Guan Yin angrily said, "That's what happened. We received Guan Chinchio's jade talisman and immediately rushed here, chasing him all the way here. Brother 14 of our family tried to capture him, but he was killed instantly. We had no choice but to kill him. Emperor Rui, I want to ask, where did we go wrong? If you still need an explanation, then kill us all." The Rui emperor said nothing. After a while, he waved his hand and said, "Lu Li is in a coma. What you said is only a one-sided story. I will not side with him. I will bring him back to the Celestial Emperor's sect. Send a message to your family patriarch. Go to the Hall of Penalty and find out who is right and who is wrong. If it is Lu Li's fault, the Celestial Emperor sect will give you an explanation." Okay, since the Rui Emperor had already said so, Guan Yun and the others didn't dare to say anything else. One of them flew over and collected Old 14's corpse, then Guan Chinchio and the others' corpses, and the group quickly flew towards the city. "Lu Li, if you can't give me a reasonable explanation when you wake up, I will not be able to save you." The Rui Emperor sighed and flew away with Lu Li. Lu Li was in a coma, and he seemed to be very weak. The Rui Emperor was afraid to open the portal. He had to take Lu Li to the city in the north and then teleport back. The news spread out quickly. The nearly 100 people saw how Lu Li killed Guan Qinxiu and heard Guan Qinxiu's last roar. More importantly, Guan Qinxiu said, Lu Li was a human disguised as a beast. A disciple of the Celestial Emperor's sect, the personal disciple of the Rue Emperor, was a beast in disguise? The news was so shocking that it spread out quickly. By the time the Rue Emperor brought Lu Li back to the Celestial Emperor's sect, the news had spread out. The Rue Emperor had just settled Lu Li down and told Wang Ningxue to tend to his wounds when someone from the Hall of Penalty came to take Lu Li away. The Rue Emperor stopped them and told the Hall of Penalty that Lu Li could not leave. He was in a coma, and when he woke up, the Rue Emperor would take him to the Hall of Penalty in person. The Rue Emperor also asked the Hall of Penalty to invite the Guan family patriarch over and asked the Hall of Information to investigate. The Celestial Emperor dynasty and the nearby dynasties were in a heated discussion. Everyone was talking about this. The Celestial Emperor's sect had to send out a notice that they were investigating and would give a fair and just result. The Guan family patriarch was furious, but he did not come to the Celestial Emperor's sect at once. Instead, he mobilized all his connections to form a public opinion. At the same time, he used all the resources in the Celestial Emperor's sect. This time, he must kill Lu Li even if the Rue Emperor wanted to protect Lu Li. If Lu Li could stay alive, the Guan family would be disgraced. How could a noble family develop and grow when it was disgraced? If anyone could kill a disciple of the Guan family, then in the future, the Guan family would be trampled on. Wang Ningxue and Hu Shimeng were shocked. Lu Li was cultivating in a secluded place. How could something happen? He killed Guan Qinxiu and 2 patriarchs of the Guan family? Had Lu Li lost his mind? How could Lu Li be so powerful? Also, why was there a rumor that Lu Li was a beast? How could a perfectly fine human be a vicious beast? Lu Li was injured, and it was Wang Ningxue who treated him. Wang Ningxue checked. Lu Li was no different from a human being. Why was he said to be an orc? They could not figure it out, but they still used their connections to fight for Lu Li. At the very least, they hoped that Lu Li would not be sentenced to death. For one thing, it would damage the reputation of the Celestial Emperor's sect. For another, Lu Li had killed a disciple of the Guan family. If Lu Li killed a disciple of the Guan family for no reason, it would be against the rules of the Celestial Emperor's sect. Lu Li woke up after 3 days of sleep. He noticed that his arm had grown back and his wounds were healed. He felt comfortable. He opened his eyes and looked around. He was back in the Rue castle. Had the Rue Emperor come? He had brought Lu Li back. Whoosh! Wang Ningxue had been waiting outside. As soon as Lu Li woke up, she rushed in and asked, Lu Li, you are awake? Why did you kill Guan Qinxiu? You have made a big mistake. The Hall of Penal Laws has come several times, but my master has stopped them. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.